Can you hear the music?
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Fuck yeah. Shit gets me right fucking amped. Had
When'd
to
you get
made.
A homie or what?
Yeah, well, he is now, I guess. Yeah.
That's cool.
Senjin Boychuk.
Senjin Boychuk. That sounds
yeah.
cool.
Right here.
Hell yeah.
It's better than we had this going. This is what we had to start. Or
Hey, you start somewhere, right?
Or this. Right? That's the default shit.
That's the tribal episode.
Yeah, that's the default shit that it came with, man. But yeah, no, right. Welcome back to another episode of On the Throne with Dick, and shout out to Senjin Boychuk for that incredible intro outro music. And I fucking love that guy. He's everywhere. He's on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I think he's on Facebook too, man. But he's not a very big creator, but
Where's he from?
Shredding it. Regina, Saskatchewan.
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
Sounds like a northern name.
Oh, it's actually very south for us, but for you, it'd be very north.
Super north.
Hey, on this week's episode of the podcast, we have they, them, he, him,
Zer,
asshole, Zer, or
yeah.
Sir?
Zer.
With a Z.
Yeah, Zed.
Is it Z or Z? No, it's Z. No, it's Z.
For you guys, it's Zed, right? For us, it's Z.
I don't understand that bullshit.
Zed is that's a British thing, right? A European thing?
Yeah, sure. Zebra. I call it a zebra.
Zebra?
You guys call it
okay.
a zebra.
Zebra, yeah. No, I don't.
Yeah.
That's a Europe thing, I think.
We have fucking the man behind Oilfield Originals. I don't know, what do you call it? Oilfield Originals clothing or Oilfield Originals LTD? I don't know. What do you call this shit?
Apparel. I don't know. That sounds.
Apparel.
That's a fun word to say. Apparel.
We have the man behind Oilfield Originals Apparel, Trey.
One of two. Yeah, it's me and my buddy Pinto. Big Viking looking motherfucker from PA.
Prince Albert?
I guess he's Prince Albert. That's what he goes by.
No, Prince Albert's the name of a town in Saskatchewan here. You said PA, where my head went. But you meant Pennsylvania.
My brain went straight to the fucked up piercing. I don't know if you know about the Prince Albert piercing.
Oh, of course. You get a little piercing on the tip of your dick. No, I get that, man.
Yeah. No, but yeah, me and my buddy Pinto, he's from Buffalo originally, and big motherfucker. But we actually met each other through just oil
Tinder.
And gas stuff, through Tinder.
Yes.
Grindr, actually.
Grindr.
That's where we first met.
Oilfield Grinder, backpages.com.
Hell yeah, dude.
You guys have Backpages there?
We used to. It was actually a company out of Dallas, I think, and they got busted. What, 20? I don't even know why I know this. But it was a while back. I remember they got raided by the FBI, and I think the headquarters was in Dallas, Texas, or something.
Nice. You're just a Backpages Grinder connoisseur. You know everything there is to know.
Yeah, just what do you want to know about it? I'm a history buff on it.
I don't know firsthand what it's like. I just stories.
You've heard story, yeah. I know a guy.
No, I know a guy.
Actually,
knows a guy that met a guy.
The first time I heard about Backpage, I was 21. I was working for Halliburton. I just got in the oil and gas, and I had all these dudes were talking about Backpage out of East Texas, and I was just like, I have no clue what they're talking about. I was so naive. And then little slowly but surely, I figured out what I caught their drift. But yeah, that was a super popular thing back in when I first got in. That's what they would do. We'd go out of town and everybody would hit up Backpage chicks.
Nasty. Fuck. How long you been in the oil patch?
I got in 2011.
Started 2011. For Halliburton. Look at you go, man. You've just been in here for what, fucking 13 years, 14 years now.
I keep telling people, like, when they ask, I'll be like, oh yeah, it's been like 10 years, and then I'll think about it and I'll just be like, God damn it.
Yeah, I had a 5-year plan. Fuck, 13 years ago. I was
How's it
like, you know
going?
what?
How's it working out?
Oh well, you know, man, I set out everything. I set out to do everything that I wanted to do. You know, I wanted to make some money, wanted to buy a car, put some money in the bank. You know, spend some money foolishly. I that was like the earlier years. That was like the formative years. I think my first Oilfield paycheck, I bought the $300 Harry Potter disc set that come in Harry's trunk.
Damn, dude.
It came with like 80 discs. It was, yeah, man. It was great. There was tons of like behind the scenes shit there. I took my wife out for a $300 dinner at the Keg. I went and bought the $300 Harry Potter disc set, and I still had money left over for bills. I wasn't sure if I was going back to the oil field until that first paycheck hit. You know, I was just like, I don't know, this life's for me. You know, and then it turns out when look at the little thumbs up. It turns out that when you start getting those paychecks, man, it becomes less about what you like and what you don't like and more about like what feels good on the bank account.
Yeah, it becomes like this is just my week, and this is what I want to buy this, and I can.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the month, you go, fuck, I gotta go back to work.
Yeah.
I gotta make more money, and then you get that next check, and you go, damn, I'm gonna buy that TV I want. I'm gonna buy that. You know what? We need a new bed. I'm gonna buy that bed.
Oh fuck yeah, man! It went that. My first paycheck, I hadn't even gotten paid yet, and I said to my coworkers, I'm like, man, I need to buy my wife. I need to buy my wife some flowers to say sorry for being gone, so much. And my coworkers like, flowers. We just. Oh, there. Are you back? You there?
Yeah.
He's like, well, why would you buy your wife flowers for being gone? Buy her a car. And I'm like, a car? What are you talking about? My first paycheck hits, my first 2-week paycheck hits, and it's like, I'm buying my wife a car,
Yeah, like all the checks are gonna be like this. I can do anything.
Turns out they're not all like that, right? When it slows down, they're not like that. It's like, but by the time you get in and you start getting those checks, and then the slowdown comes, right? You're just like, well, shit. Now I'm addicted to the lifestyle, you can't get a job anywhere else. I've tried during the downturn. I tried to get work somewhere else, but all the companies in town saw oil field on my resume and were like, well, as soon as it picks back up, you're gone. Why should we hire you? And I'm like, you're not wrong,
that's a good
bro.
point.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So when I first started in, I lived in like a small oil field town, and then about a year in, I got a job working a rotation, so like 14 on, 7 off. And I was like, well, fuck, if I'm going to be off for a week, like I'm not going to fucking live here anymore. So I bounced out of my hometown and moved to Austin, and was like, okay, here's my plan. Because prior to that, I was playing music. I was a drummer in a band, and I was like, all right, well, I'll move to Austin. I'll save up some money. I'll get in the music scene there, and then I'll quit. Everybody's like playing, and kind of the same thing. I was single at the time, so for me, it was like, clothes, drinking, partying, like the big city lifestyle. I would go to the city for my 7 days off and just be like the big shot. Like my friends that were there were like, they were working, 40-hour weeks, 35-hour weeks. Didn't make we're just trying to get by, and I was the big guy buying drinks, like living it up, like, oh yeah, let's go out with Trey. So then the music kind of disappears, and then you set into a lifestyle that you get comfortable with, and then you hit that first bust, and you're like, fuck, dude, now what? So I tried to sell insurance for about 2 weeks, and then I was like, dude, I'm out of here. I can't do this shit.
I think during the first bus that the bus that I went through, I tried working for a demolition company in town, right? And I worked there for a little bit. It was cool, man. I got to like, break shit all the time and like, throw sledgehammers at walls and whatnot. And it
Demo is
was
hard work,
cool.
dude.
Yeah, man. Dude, it is, right? But like,
People talk about oil field being hard. Like, go work construction.
oh yeah, man. Like that's where I came from, right? I come from construction
Mm-hmm.
before the oil field, right? So I figured, hey, I could try that after, when this is done. But dude, what I come to realize is that I spent so many days in camp in the oil field, like having to go to work, being forced to go to work. That discipline and schedule is what I need.
Yeah.
Because when I was at home, right, the first sunny day there was, I'm like, fuck, I'm calling in sick to hang out with my wife, man. Like,
Yeah.
and turns out like there's a lot of sunny, nice days in the summertime. Like it's like shit.
Yeah, man.
How many days of work can I miss here and not get
Yeah.
fired? Fuck yeah,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, the temptation's there when you're not in the middle of fucking nowhere, right?
Oh, absolutely, man. Like you're in the middle of the bush. There ain't nothing else to do. You're in camp. What are you gonna do? Lay in your bed all day? No, man. I'm here to work. I'm getting money. You're in town. That motivation to get up and go when you're cuddling a beautiful woman who's laying naked next to you, is just like, like I ain't going nowhere today, and
Dude, tell me
yeah,
about it. Yeah. Yeah, I've been injured since like the 6th. I went I went snowboarding and fucked my knee up.
Oh
And
shit.
like I've been about to like go back to work, and it's kind of the same thing, dude. I've been home for like a month now, and it's just been like, man, the money's not fucking everything, dude. This is fucking kind of nice.
A lot of people learned that actually during the pandemic. A lot of people that worked in the oil field and stuff like that, they learned
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah, for
they,
sure,
they
man.
they get into this lifestyle. Before like years before the pandemic, where they had to be making that kind of money. They had to, maybe they had a kid early or some shit like that, and they needed that money, and they get into the oil field, and they're making all this good money, and they're like, yeah. And over the course of time, they didn't realize it, but if they were smart with their money, they didn't need to be here anymore. And then COVID came around, and everyone gets laid off or slows down, and they're like, you know what, man, I'm actually doing pretty good over here, and I had to do this 20 years ago. I don't have to do it now. I can do what I want to do and be okay.
Yeah.
The pandemic wasn't all
Dude.
bad, man. The pandemic showed
Yeah.
a lot of people stuff that they
Yeah,
needed to see.
There's a lot of people that talk about the Great Reset and all this shit. Like, oh, they're trying to do this Great Reset. It's like, motherfucker, they did it. Like 2020, that was a reset for whether it was intentional or not. Like, it was a
Yep.
reset for a lot of people, just like what you were just talking about. Like,
Yep.
like people figured out what they could scrape by with. Companies figured out, especially in oil and gas, what they could scrape by with. So a lot of these
Yep.
operators now, it's hard to get service company tickets back up because all these oil operators are like, hey, dude, we did fucking pretty nice during the pandemic, because
Yep.
they got huge discounts and they were still producing mad oil.
Yep.
So yeah, it was, there was a lot of good and bad.
Absolutely.
How was your 2020 experience? 2020, 2021, all that shit? Because I know it was quite a bit different up north.
Yeah, man. So my daughter was born 2 days before the pandemic officially was declared.
No
so
way,
I was
dude.
already at home. Yeah, man. I was already at home.
I had a daughter in 2020.
Nice.
In
What March 9th.
March 17th. Yeah, so we'll
Shit.
have 4-year-olds this month. Congrats.
Oh
dude.
man, my 4-year-old's more like a 20-year-old right now. Jesus Christ, she is going to spend some time in jail when she's older. She is savage, and we'll talk about
that's
why
how
that
mine
is
is
in a minute,
too.
Man. Okay, so March 5th, I go home. March 9th, my kid is born. I'm already taking a month off, and like March 11th or 12th or something, it was declared a pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right, so I had a month off, and 12 hours before I was set to go back to work, my boss called me and said, hey, anyone that's flying in and out, we're going to lay them off. We're going to let you keep all your benefits for now, but we're laying you off because we don't want anyone flying in and out and bringing COVID in, and then we're not going to have any work. Because as soon as someone finds out that you've got COVID, they're not going to call us, right?
Sure.
And I'm like, okay. And I hadn't started TikTok yet. Right? It started that summer. right, actually. And so it was weird, man. I got to spend the first couple months at home. It was nice, you know, it was really nice. I never worked so little and had so much money because I couldn't do shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The gas at the pump was 50 cents a liter at the right, but you couldn't drive, right? So
Yeah.
like I never filled up my vehicle, right? And it was like fuck, man. I now looking back now, man, it's like bucks. It's been $1.80, $1.90 at times, which is like $8 a gallon for you guys,
Yeah.
$9 a gallon. So like, my mom wasn't able to meet her granddaughter for the first 2 months of her life. You know, it was nice
Yeah.
though, not having to go out anywhere with a newborn. It was
Dude,
nice not
yeah.
having to
Yeah. It
have
was such a
anyone
good
tummy bug you.
excuse, right?
Oh, dude, it was wild. I sat in my
What was
in my I
what
sat
was
on the couch
y'all's
watching Wicked Tuna.
experience like in the hospital?
We had two people come in. My three
Okay.
people. My sister and my brother-in-law, and then my stepmom came to visit. But like at that point, they were just like, "Hey, wash your hands thoroughly, put your
Yeah.
mask on. You know, we're
Yeah.
we're just gonna do the mask thing for now."
Uh-huh.
No, and you know, just the hospitals were very quiet at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They were gearing up for something. They didn't know
Yeah.
what yet, right?
Yeah.
And 2 days later, man, we were home, right? We were home, so it didn't really matter. I think my daughter actually had to spend like a couple of days in the NICU just for observation, just jaundice, right? My oldest
Yeah.
had the same issues, so like
Okay.
they wanted to make sure that the youngest was good. Nobody was there. The whole labor and delivery floor was quiet.
Yeah.
Nobody in and
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It was wild, man. And so we brought her home and we just lived off of fucking, all the restaurants were closed. We just lived off of Uber delivery. It was like, fuck
Yeah.
yeah, man, this is great. And I
Yeah,
sat
dude.
there watching Wicked Tuna for 2 months. I'm like, this is great, man. I love this.
That's awesome.
My During that time, my wife and my sister, they were sending me TikTok videos to my phone. I'm like, I don't want to see this shit. I have no
Yeah,
interest,
dude. Yeah.
right? TikTok was blowing up at this point, right? And so I created an account. I'm like, send them there, and I can ignore them over there, right? Well, a few months later, I'm on the road crew. I work on a road crew in the summertime. It started like
Okay.
during the downturn in 2014.
Okay.
Well, I needed to work still, so I got a job on a
Yeah.
road crew, and just to get money and still work while things were slow. And I spend my summers there, and I go there now still. Everyone's like, oh, you don't need to leave the oil patch, it's busy. Well, it's not always going to be busy, and I still go
Yeah.
there. I still put my time aside and go there in the summer to
Oh yeah.
maintain what I built up over the
Yeah.
course of 10 years, because when the oil field does slow down again, I want to have that option. I've got seniority
No,
over
yeah.
there. I've worked my way up from being a laborer on the ground to running heavy equipment and making good money,
Badass.
so like I want to maintain that. So by the time I work 4 months there, and I make more money in 4 months there than I make in 8 months here. It's
That's
wild.
funny.
It's
That's
wild,
wild.
man. And yeah, dude, and it's but so it's funny because from January till May I'll work here, and just as I'm getting fucking tired of it, it's time to go on the road crew. So I'll go on the road crew.
That's nice, dude.
Yeah, and just I'll go on the road crew and I'll work those 4 months. And just as I'm getting tired of it, it's time to come back here. So from like October to December, I'm here again, right? And just as I'm getting tired of it, it's time to go back to the road crew again, right? And I say at the end of every season on the road, I'm never coming back. I fucking hate this place. And every year I come back, and every year I leave here in May, I'm never coming back. I fucking hate this place. And
Yeah.
then I end up coming back, right? And it's just the mental wear and tear, right? Like you get into
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So yeah, I started making the TikToks as an outlet. I started watching them like, fuck, that's funny, man. I could do that.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
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 Yeah, it's crazy. The amount of attention that all the social apps, I mean, including YouTube, like the people that
Pornhub.
weren't porn. Yeah, oh yeah, dude. I bet those sites were going fucking ballistic. I bet they made enough money to last eternity. Like I bet it was
Yeah.
nuts.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the amount of attention, to our devices was like crazy. I
Yeah.
actually I had to check out for a little bit because I was getting stuff from, a bunch of like fear stuff from like my dad and like some other people, and it was like 2021 I was just like, I'm out, dude. And I logged out of everything. It was just like, I'm out, dude. This is too much. Like the election, the everything, dude. It was just like too much.
Yep.
So yeah, I stepped away from everything and got my sanity back for like, I don't know, it was like a couple of months. Cause like my dad's I really respect my dad. He's a he was a doctor as I was growing up, so really really smart dude. And he was sending me some shit, and I was just like about the election and like COVID and all this shit. Like a lot of guys his age, are like the doomers. Like they're
Yep.
like it's all coming down. They're gonna bring us down. And so I was getting all that shit, and I was soaking it in, dude. And then I'm watching this guy, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, who is this guy? Like, I've been watching this dude's videos, and I don't even know who the fuck this guy is. So I start doing my own research, right? And this dude, I get on his website. This dude's he's a fucking loon, dude. Like his website bio is talking about how he adopted an alien daughter and like he raised her and like all sorts of like weird, like crazy shit, But I mean, that's what people were doing, right? They were going online, and whoever could be like the craziest, like they were getting paid, because
Yep.
that's where the attention was. And so that was when I like logged out, and I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the time at the house with the newborn was awesome because my first daughter, I literally had me and my wife had my first daughter before she was my wife, and yeah, it was like 2 days later, and I'm back in the patch, like because that's just what it was, It was
Yep.
like I had like my days off, and then I went over that like a week waiting for this little kid to be born. And I was like, sweetheart, I got to go back to work. Like, so as soon as she popped out, I was like,
That's
gone
tough.
14
It's
days.
tough.
Yeah,
That's
it
tough.
was,
It's the
man.
lifestyle though, man, right? But when my first daughter was born, I just got laid off on the road crew, right? So I was, when the road crew's over, I usually take a week or two off before I go back. I just like, hey, because on the road crew, like we work all year round, like all summer. We don't get much
Yeah,
time off, right? So
yeah,
like I basically come back to the oil field to relax, right? And like,
yeah.
yeah,
Some ass time.
it's just a lot more fucking, go in the summertime. And so I take that 2 weeks off, and I was up in the Northwest Territories, really, really far north. And I had my cousin's wedding to go to. So they flew me out of the territories to go to my cousin's wedding back east. I went back east for my cousin's wedding. And I want to say that was like mid-October. I think we were back here like maybe 2 weeks. I was just taking that 2 weeks off, and then oh, that's what it was. The road crew has different divisions. And I'm like, well, there's only a couple weeks till my daughter's due anyway. So I joined another division that was home every night.
Hmm.
And I just stayed there, and I was 8 hours a day, and oh, it was gravy. 8 hours a day, just hanging out, chilling. And then my wife messaged me. She's like, hey, I gotta go to the doctor. I'm not feeling well. I'm dizzy and shit like that. And so she went to the doctor, and they admitted her, and they're like, you're not going anywhere till this baby's born now, right? Because she had
Damn.
hypertension. So,
Okay. Yeah. Blood
so
pressure.
she was at risk for that anyway. So that was on a Thursday. We sat in the hospital from Thursday, and I believe my daughter was born Saturday morning, I think it was. So
Damn.
like, yeah, like they tried to induce her, it wasn't happening. They told me, they're like, hey, yeah, we're gonna induce baby today. She's coming today. So they did a C-section. They're like,
Hmm.
she's coming today regardless. They come in the room, they're like, okay, you have a couple hours. I'm like, hey, I'm going down to the cafeteria to get breakfast. I'll be back, right? I just sat down, I took one bite. My wife's like, we're going now. I'm like, fuck. I get up, I throw my food out, I rush back, and there was still another like 2 hours before anything happened, man. I could have
Always. Yeah.
ate, right? But
Yeah.
whatever, I don't care, man. I was pumped. I was like amped, this kid, this is my firstborn,
Yeah.
and so, man, I was so stoked, I was like,
Were you
fuck yeah.
freaked out?
No, man, I wasn't. I was pumped. I wanted her to come early. She came 5 weeks early. I wanted her to come
Oh
early.
shit.
I didn't want her to come that early, but like,
Right.
I wanted her to come early because I'm just like, man, I just want this kid to come now. Like, I I want to meet her. She,
Yeah.
when we found out my wife was pregnant with her, she was the size of a ladybug,
Uh-huh.
right? We had that app that tells you, and
Yeah.
so like from now until the end of the time, she'll always be my little ladybug, right?
Hell
And
yeah.
I don't really call her that. Like it was a little
Right.
ladybug. I
Right.
don't really call her
Yeah.
that, but that's just it's a me thing, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
that's my little ladybug right there, right?
Yeah.
My sister and a bunch of people, like anytime we see ladybug outfits, we get it for her. My sister made this ladybug out of wood and
How old is
wrote her
she?
name on it. She's 6 now. She just turned 6 in
6.
October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, man. She was supposed to be born November 17th, actually, which was mine and my wife's wedding anniversary.
Oh,
But she was born
so she came
October
early.
21st. Yeah, man.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
man. And she spent 11 days in the NICU. So, because she was 5 weeks
Was
early.
that scary?
Dude, that was fucking kind of scary. My wife was hard on herself about it, right? Because she's like, "Oh, I failed," and she's
Yeah.
got all
Sure.
those post-pregnancy hormones going on, and
Sure. Yeah.
and for me, like, yeah, man, it sucks, but we lived 2 minutes from the hospital, which was kind of
That's
nice,
nice.
right?
Yeah.
So my wife wanted to stay there, and I'm like, "Hey, listen, like, you just had major surgery here," like, and she
Yeah.
refused to stay in the recovery room if she
Yeah.
wasn't with the kid. If the kid wasn't with her, she was with the kid. And so
Yeah.
the doctor said, "Hey, if you don't sit down and stay in this room and recover, we're gonna have to release you so someone else could use this room." My wife's like, "Release me then, because I ain't staying here." So fucking fresh out the womb, she's bleeding, fucking sore. She goes and
Yeah.
wheels herself down into the NICU. I took her out for lunch one day. We went to the mall right across the street, West Ed Mall. It's like North America's second largest mall, right behind the Mall of
Okay.
America, and we're in the food court. It's called Bourbon Street. Anyway, we're there, and there's a ramp to walk up. I'm like, all right. I started directing her that way. She takes the stairs. I'm like, shut the fuck up, man. Women are nuts, dude. So I noticed she's like kind of like tired and needs a rest. I'm like, man, we live 2 minutes away. Let's go home for the night. Let's just go home. We'll stay there. I know you don't want to leave the kid, but like she's in good hands. The NICU nurses, they got her, right? So I convinced her. I'm like, let's go home, spend time in the bed. You got 2 dogs at home that need, whatever. So fucking, we go home at midnight. We come back at 6 a.m. And we did that for a couple of days, And she tried to sleep in the NICU one night. It was just uncomfortable. She's sore. She's bleeding, like just no point. So I took her home, and we paid a fuck ton in parking fees, right, at the hospital. My God, dude, right? And
It's a racket.
oh, it is, dude. Oh my God. And yeah, man. 11 days later, but when you're in there, all your daughter has is jaundice. She's 5 weeks early, just jaundice, right? You're looking around, you're like, oh, poor me, right? You're looking around. This kid's been in here 8 months. This kid's been in here a year and a half. This kid's been in here for 3 or 4 months. This kid over here has heart surgery. This kid's parents barely come to visit him. You never see them, right?
Yeah.
And it's like shit, dude. Like
So you're just sitting there being thankful.
yeah, man. And this kid over here has a chart full of their milestones. Oh, I was able to come off the breathing monitor, the ventilator for so long today. And it's like, oh shit, dude. Okay, this ain't so bad, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was I was freaked out with my first being born. Just the whole experience. I was just like, of course I barely knew my wife, She was like, my daughter she'll be 12 in July, and then me and my wife have been together just over 12 years.
Wow,
like
man.
together.
Good for you.
Yeah.
My
So
wife,
we figured it out.
my daughter is 6. My wife and I were together almost 12 years before we had our first
Hell
kid.
yeah,
So,
dude.
and I
Yeah,
still barely
so
knew her, man.
y'all were fucking like, dude,
No,
that's the
I
crazy thing
still
about
barely knew
having
my wife.
kids.
I
Just from
still
being
barely
gone
knew
so
her.
much.
Oh no, dude! It's a joke about women. Like women are like, you never know. You never
Gotcha.
know where a woman's headspace is, man.
Dude,
But
you definitely find out a lot about I would say a woman, but really anybody once you move in together. You get to know them real fast.
we were only together 8 months when we moved in together. So we were fresh out of high school, man. We got together
Shit.
in high school. We were together almost 20 years, man.
Wild.
Fresh out of high school. Like I think the cap went up and we moved in together. Like, hey, congratulations.
Yeah. Did did you know anything about like the oil and gas industry in high school or like right out of high school?
Nothing, man. I only from what I saw in the news, right, which is a crock of bullshit, right? And
Right. Yeah.
so, and I didn't really pay attention to that too much, man. I got out of high school and I moved across the country. I moved west, and it wasn't until a couple years later where I met a guy who just got laid off from the rigs, and he was talking to me about it. He's like, "This is the tickets you need and shit like that." Well, shit, I didn't move across the country to be poor, you know. I didn't move across the
Yeah.
country to make $13 an hour.
So
And
where did you move to and where did you move from?
I moved from like around Toronto. You probably know, you've
Okay.
heard of Toronto,
Yeah.
right? So I lived
Yeah.
around there, and I moved from Toronto to first near Vancouver, and then Vancouver to like Banff area. But I was living in Saskatoon, just north of Regina, there when I got into the oil fields. So
Okay. Cool.
yeah, yeah, man, it was. Fuck, man, what a journey, dude. Like, you know, he told me the tickets I needed to get, so I went and got them. And then, you know, I just started applying places and, you know,
Hmm.
anywhere I could get in, man. I didn't care what it was, as long as it was oil field and I could get in, get some experience. And I figured once I was there, I could network. I'm a networker
Yeah.
anyway. So,
Yeah.
like, I've always been
100%,
that
dude.
way, even in school. I'd network, right? And so, you know, I networked and, you know, I'd go back in the day, I'd go from this job to that job just by word of mouth on site. I'd be like, cool, right?
Hmm.
I've been here for 5 years now, right? And you know, 5 years at a company, one company, that's fucking
That's
unheard
a
of
long
these days,
time,
man.
dude.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I just celebrated my 5 year anniversary with this company last September.
Yep.
But yeah, yeah, it is a eternity. It's
Well,
especially
you're
I think some people are like they're pretty cool with sticking with one company, and you know, like a lot of the guys that'll go and work for like the Halliburtons and the Schlumbergers and the Shells and
big
the
red and
bigger
big blue.
companies, you know, they'll yeah, they'll go and be happy with just being there forever. But for me, man, it's just like, dude, 5 years, and I'm like, fuck, dude, let's fucking do something else. If I'm not doing some sort of like moving around, learning, like I get bored fast.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Which
learning something new every day, man. I'm on a vac truck,
yeah,
right? So,
yeah,
um, there are days where I come to work and I've been here for 5 years, man. And it's like, okay, we're doing this thing. Well, I've never done that. I know
yeah,
how
yeah,
it needs to be done. I've
yeah.
just never done it. And it's
Hmm.
like, all right, throw a new skill set in there, right? And then it's like, hey, man, can you train this new guy how to do this? Well, I've done this with an experienced person before who, you know, I just looked at my phone and finger fucked my phone the entire time. But like, you
Yeah,
know, I did learn, right? So like I'm like, all right, cool, we got this, right? And there are times where, you know, when I'm on my own and with a new person, I gotta call my boss and be like, hey man, like, and he's like, okay, this is what you need to do. So he explains it and then I just do it, right? And it's like, fuck yeah, man, I got this, you know, and you know, like that's it's good, man. You know, like you don't know how much you've learned until it's come time to train someone new, and
yeah,
then you're just like you're fucking just doing it without thinking, right? And it's
yeah,
like shit, you know, and then the new person, I realize I'm not teaching the new person, I'm just doing everything. And then I'm
yeah,
like, all right, I gotta
yeah,
slow it down, and then I'm like, okay, we come over here, we do this, right? Because in my head, I know it needs to be done. I just go and do it, right?
yeah,
Now and then I catch myself. I'm like, hey, I gotta slow this down. I gotta go step by step, and then it's like, well, shit, all right, and then I show them, and you know, so it's usually works out pretty good. So
yeah, yeah. That's kind of the oil field in a nutshell, right? Is
yep,
OJT. You know, it's a lot of on the job training, and
yo,
if you
yeah.
don't know that, it's a lot of going like this.
Yep.
What
And
do
a lot of
what do
people
I
don't
do?
understand, man, that like
You just got to ask
you're
questions, dude.
learning every single day, no matter how long you've been there. You could be there 20
Yeah,
years, something new is gonna pop up. Right.
yeah,
And a lot of people gotta remember that when they get in, a lot of the new people gotta remember, hey man, never stop asking questions, never stop
yeah,
learning. You know what I mean? If you've been there 20 years, doesn't mean you're the king shit at it. It means like you're
yeah,
good, but there's gonna come a time where you're gonna have to learn again, right? And I say that all the time, man. And I that was like one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from a boss when I first started this. He's like, the day you come to work and you stop learning is the day you go home, right? You
yeah,
go somewhere else because you obviously you've done everything here, right?
yeah,
And I go to work every day like today's my last day. Like I'm about to get fired anyway. So like I pour everything I got into it every day, right? And I've had to learn over the last couple of years is that like it's okay to take a 5-minute break every now and then. No one's gonna call you a dog fucker. No one's gonna think you're lazy. You're not gonna get fired. Take a break because your physical health and your mental health, man, it's gonna take a toll. Is that you?
Can you hear
Yeah.
that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that your youngest?
That's the rambunctious about to be 4-year-old. She's trying to
Fucking
get
love
into the
that.
shop.
Yeah, my daughter's
We're
birthday's
supposed to
this
do some
week coming
painting.
up. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
hell yeah.
weekend coming up. I'll be
You
going home here in 4
you,
days. So
you said the 7th or
ninth.
the 9th. Okay.
Yeah, I go
Yeah.
home in 4 days, and been a long 4 weeks. So I'm pumped to get
Hell yeah,
home,
dude.
and
Hell
I'm
yeah.
only going home for a short stint though because I want to be home for Easter. So I'm going home
Gotcha.
for 3 or 4 days for the birthday, and then I'm coming back,
Yeah.
and I for a couple weeks, and then Easter. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, man. So what you're in wireline? I've noticed, eh?
So I do downhole tools
Yeah.
for upstream stuff.
Okay.
So most of the time I'm on a coil tubing unit,
Yeah.
and
Oh, coil. That's what I meant to say,
yeah,
not wireline. I meant to say
yeah,
coil.
yeah.
Yeah.
Coil's a lot like us, but we can snub where coil can only pull, right? Pump down and pull. But yeah. So most of the time I'm on a coil tubing unit, uh, running tools, man. Which is that's been the coolest thing about the last 5 years is with tools, man. There's so many different operations. It's kind of the same thing, dude. Like, you know, when I first started, they'd be like, "Have you done this?" And I'd be like, "Fuck no." And you get real nervous. But when you have like a solid support team that go, "Hey, if you have any questions, call me," and you're humble enough to go, "Hey, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing," like
Yeah.
have you done this before? So you've got to be humble enough to ask the questions, like you were talking about, or one, you're gonna get yourself or somebody else hurt, or
Yeah.
two, you're gonna fuck something up enough to where they're just gonna let you go, and then
They'd
you're gonna have
rather
to
you
start this
call.
process. Oh, 100%. Like
Yeah.
call my like our manager. I called him at like 2 a.m. It's just like the worst thing you want to do. It's like call the manager at 2 a.m. and wake his ass. Where he's like, hello, hello. But it was like it was either that or I'm gonna fuck something up. So it's like
Yeah.
at the end of the phone call, he says, "Hey Trey, thanks for calling." It's like, yeah, dude, sorry for calling.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the cool thing about oil and gas is like most guys in charge, they've been in your position. They've been there to where they don't know and you got to ask. So it's like if you ask them, most of the time they're like, "Yeah, dude, I remember that." Like unless they're just pricks, there's some of those too. But
Yep.
most of the time, there's somebody that you can either ask in person or call and ask.
Yep.
And if you want to learn anything and not fuck shit up, it's like that's what you got to do. It's just a lot of on the job training.
Hell yeah. Absolutely, man. Can you explain the downhole tool? Downhole tools. I just come
Yeah.
off a coil tubing job there where
Oh, sick.
I work in a vac truck, so like I'm down in the flock tank near the
Yeah.
testers, and I'm sucking the sand out as you guys are
Yeah. Hell
fucking
yeah, dude.
flowing it back. So
Yeah. Yeah. So most of the time the operation that I'm doing taking part in is we'll be going out after like frack and wireline, and they'll go down there and perf everything and set plugs and kind of get the well ready to be drilled out, and we'll go in there and we'll drill out all those plugs and the sand and basically just clean the well out, and all the cuttings that we drill up, all the sand, we flow it back, and then you see it, you got to fucking get rid of it. But yeah, dude, the downhole thing has been so cool because there's so many things that you can do with coil or work over rigs, with stick pipe or like snubbing units. Uh, so yeah, it's a ton of stuff I've learned. But yeah, most of the time I'll go out with the coil crew and I'll make up our drill out string, which consists of just a bunch of like different pipes basically for people that don't know, and then usually at the bottom of that's a motor that's run by fluid basically, and then we'll stick a drill bit on the end of that. Full drift drill bit, go in there and fuck some shit up.
Fuck yeah, just fucking go down there. And man, they call coiling on frack a lot when they lose tools down hole. You know, it's like
That's
fucking,
the other cool thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go out to a lot of frack jobs that either, you know, screen out, which means they pump sand too heavy and it just locked up with sand, and so you have basically a sand slug down there that they can't flow back. It's basically plugged off the well. So we'll go out there sometimes and clean that out and go all the way down to that next plug that they've already set, tap it, come out of the hole. Or yeah, sometimes, you know, people fuck shit up on wireline, whether that's they pump too hard against the wireline and snap the cable, and we'll go down there and like retrieve the perf tools. That's fishing's probably the most fun because one, most of the time you go out there and the fucking wireline, whoever fucked up on the wireline side is not going to be honest about what's going on down there, you know, like, so you'll get mixed information. You'll go out there and they'll be like, oh no, there's no wire in the hole. It snapped at the cable head, so you shouldn't see any wire. So then you'll go in there with an overshot, which is just like a catch. So you'll go down there to catch the wireline tools, and you'll get down there and you'll be like, what the fuck? And you'll snag up like super high from where the tools are supposed to be, come out of the hole, and there'll be like some wire on, and you're like, fuck. So then you go down there with I think wire catching tools are probably the baddest ass looking tools because they just look medieval. They're a lot of like spear. They look like medieval killing tools is what they look like. So like there's one called the Gator Grab. There's one called a Roman Spear. Like they even have like badass names. But you'll go down there with those, and you'll basically try to stab into the wire and turn it and kind of just mangle the wire up all over your tools, and then pull that out, and you'll try to pull as much, you know. So fishing jobs are sick because you never know, you know, it's like Forrest Gump. You never know what you're going to get, you know. Like you'll go out there. Yeah, exactly.
The hole's like a box of chocolates.
Yeah. Yeah, so like you kind of know what's down there, but you don't, and you just it's a lot of like figuring it out and taking like subtle hints, and like you'll come out with a dry run with no fish, and you'll be like, what the fuck? But then you'll sit there and you'll look at the tools, and they'll have, you know, they'll tell a story. So they'll have scars or bends or whatever you hit up against, and you just problem solve, man. There's a lot more problem solving and fishing than there is in like a drill out or a clean out.
So you come out dry, but like you're like, what the fuck? So you look at the tool, and the tool's all beat to shit, right? And you're just like, huh? Yeah. So something is down there.
Yeah. And so you take those scars and you go, okay, what is it? You know, what's
in you go.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll run. They'll want to run what's called an impression block, which is just like a lead block. And so the idea is you go down there and you stack on whatever's down there with the lead block, the impression block, which a lot of people call it a confusion block. Because you'll come out and you'll be like, oh, this is what it is, because it'll have an impression of whatever, and then really it just confuses you more on what's actually down there. But yeah, so there's cool stuff like that. There's sometimes you'll run a magnet, a badass magnet. You'll go down there and run a magnet. Or have you ever heard of a Venturi basket?
No.
Venturi basket's really cool. It's basically, it acts kind of like a vacuum. So you pump water through it, and it shoots the water on the outside of the tool, and then it's made to where it creates this venturi, and it kind of sucks it up like a vacuum and into this like basket tool. And so you use that sometimes on like fishing jobs where you can't get to the tool, and you run down there and you pick up a bunch of trash, kind of like your suck truck, and then pull it out, dump it, make another run.
Fuck, that's pretty badass, man.
Dude, I bet you run into more fucked up shit or fucked up like situations on surface than anybody, you know, like anytime there's a mess, like
lots of spills, man. Yeah. Like it's like, how the fuck did this happen, man? You know what I mean? like someone fucked up somewhere throughout the day. Oh, dude, it's interesting, that's for sure. You know, like I love when you're like you're at the flock tank and you're sucking out all the sand and like, you know, it's like cool. You get the fucking thing empty, you know, like, oh yeah, it feels good. You run to disposal, you dump it, you come back, it's full right to the rim again. It's like son of a bitch, right? Like,
Yeah. It's the tank that never ends.
yeah, man. There's a lot that can go wrong on a vac truck, you know, for sure.
Mhm.
It's basically a pressurized bomb on wheels, you know, like
Yeah.
fucking you suck on the wrong thing or do the wrong thing and you're making a mess or we had a truck one time, you know, two trucks parked side by side of each other and one had their burner going and the other was sucking on condi, right? And they were side by side and that burner
Oh no.
caught flame
Yeah.
and then or ignited and the blower was blowing into it and it was condi blowing into it and it turned the blower into a fucking
Like a
flamethrower.
torch. Yeah.
Yeah, buddy was sitting right next to it, singed his eyebrows. He heard it. He's like, "What the fuck?" He moved back, fucking singed his eyebrows off, man. Like that truck was a crisp, right?
Damn, dude.
And yeah, man, it was shit like that, you know. Like there's a lot of things that could go wrong, man, and you know,
No, yeah, 100%, dude.
yeah,
Anytime you're dealing with
pressure.
a lot of pressure, a lot of heat, and ignition sources, it's like
Oh yeah,
a
oh
lot can
yeah,
go wrong.
oh yeah,
Have you ever
man.
had any like have you ever had like mask up fully? Like
Oh,
a
all the time.
SCBA on locations? Yeah.
All the time, all the time. I go into a lot of tanks and clean a lot of
Oh
shit,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So,
that's right. That's right.
so yeah, you go a lot of H2S. Where I work is notoriously sour. So,
That
you know,
sucks.
going in there, yeah, it is what it is, man. You know, one time I was fucking sucking out a P tank, and you could smell it. You could smell it for sure,
Yeah.
and the air hand was right there next to me, and he's like, "Man, you're standing here." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, fucking they just taken one of the pipes off and you could see the LELs coming out of the pipe right behind me, right, like right behind me. He puts his fucking monitor there and man, had that H2S, yeah, had that H2S decided to fucking like blow anywhere near me
Migrate.
for even a second, it probably would have killed me. It was that high,
Fuck,
right?
dude.
And yeah, man, fucking shit like that happens. Like, you know, you got to think on your toes, right? It's always, like you said,
Yeah.
constantly problem solving, right? Same with the back truck, constantly problem solving. Well, in the wintertime, right? Yeah, it happened to me yesterday. We plugged off some hoses, some 3-inch hoses, trying to suck out what was it? I think it was brine or whatever, but it was cold out, right?
Mhm.
Maybe it was a little inverty too, maybe a little bit of invert, and it plugged off the 3-inch hose, and we're trying to figure it out. Well, that was the situation after we had figured. I should have started with this first, right? Like I said, you know, like I'm fairly new to running the truck with a new operator, like by
Mhm.
myself, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm like, all right, what has my training taught me over the years when shit won't work? You know, where do I start? So I'm looking all over the normal shit. Well, I call my boss. He's like, and none of that's working. He's like, no. I'm like, no, none of it's working. Like the valve's opening, everything's going good. And like, you know, what is going on here? He's like, oh, shut everything down, open up the filter pot and tell me what it looks like. So I open it up, just frozen, just a block of ice. He's like, you need to
Damn.
melt that shit. So I got the rig's fucking steam in there. I steamed it out, took 10 minutes. I steamed it out, pulled the filter out, steamed it out, like ran water through it,
Yeah.
put it back in, started up, worked like a charm, purred like a kid. I'm like, that was the issue. All right, cool, gotcha. So now next time, you know, next time that's another tool for my arsenal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Next time I run through the truck, nothing else, everything else is working great. I go to that. Or maybe I start there first, you know, who knows? You know, so, but it's winter time, so that shit happens in Canada. But as soon as we got that fixed, I plugged off a hose. So we start sucking, plugged almost immediately. I'm like, son of a bitch. And, you know, I start beating the hose with a hammer, start like fucking trying to figure it out. 20 minutes later, I'm just like, you know what, man, this ain't working. Pull that fucking hose off. We have 2 4-inch hoses. It won't plug off with the 4-inch. Fucking throw the 4 inches up. They're heavier, but whatever. Pull the 4 inches up. We were there. We would have been done 3 hours earlier had those 2 things not happened.
Right. Yeah.
I got paid. Chaos is cash, right? So
Yeah. No, for
I
sure,
love
dude.
it, man. I
Job
love it.
security, right?
Job
The longer
security,
it
man.
takes,
Like,
the more you get paid, dude. Which is
yeah,
like, it's a bad mentality when that's your only mentality. Is like,
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
let's
100%.
take our time. It's like, no,
That
if shit hits the fan, shit hits the fan. You know, like that shit does happen. But
That's not even how the
the
shit gets
faster you get
started
done,
either.
the better job you. That's what I try to tell guys all the time that have this mentality, like, oh, it's job
Yeah.
security, man. I get paid by the hour. It's like, yeah, dude, but you're not going to get paid by the hour if this operator doesn't call us out.
Yeah.
So let's be as efficient as possible so we get that next well and that next well, and
Absolutely.
that's our job security.
Yep. No, so that's not even the shittiest part of the day, man. Like it started on the way to site when the truck broke down.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck, man? And we're looking there, cool it, you can smell it everywhere, right? Well, did we do our walk around check? Well, no. But what was wrong with it, we wouldn't have seen anyways, right?
Yeah,
so it's like we'll
right.
just play that card. Well,
Yeah.
so fucking my boss, my mechanic, he's like, hey, dump whatever coolant you have left in there. Put it in there. Start the truck up. I'm like, okay. And so we did that. He's like, hey man, what do you see now? And right away, as soon as he starts the truck up, there's a hole in the return valve, in the return hose to the radiator, in the fan belt. So as soon as he started up, it came pouring out there. I'm like, I shut it down. So we were only 5 minutes from the shop when we broke down. So it's perfect, and it was a 5-minute fix. 5-minute fix. We were 10 minutes late to site. It was fucking not even a big deal. So fucking we do that. We get there. We sit there for a couple hours, and then just to find out that all this shit. Oh my god, man! It was an interesting day to start. But everything that happened was an easy fix. It wasn't like last week when the fucking hydraulic hose on the combo boom on the boom thing.
Right.
It went in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
It went in the middle of the night. I had to call the mechanic out at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and he wasn't happy about that, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that was something I didn't really see, and I guess being in the oil field is you become like a diesel hydraulic mechanic, like like there's all these skills that you can attain if you just put some effort into it, right?
Yep.
And they translate to so many different things in life, dude. And that's been the most valuable thing about oil and gas. That you kind of, once you grow up, you go, oh, this is fucking dope. Like, I can go do anything, and if I don't know how to do it, I just go, well, I just got to learn how to do it. Like,
Yep.
That guy
survey.
that knows how to do it isn't magic. He's not a fucking magician. He's not a fucking wizard.
Yep.
He didn't go to Hogwarts. he just
Dude.
at one point he was like me, and he learned how to do it. So he just figured out. And then nowadays with fucking YouTube and the internet, being able to call people, like, you can figure out how to
100%.
fuck anything up.
100%. Yeah. So fucking a few years ago, we wanted to go home. Our job was gonna finish, and we hadn't been home in a while. And only thing that was stopping us was like I was doing screw piling, and the only thing that was stopping us was we had a little bit more to go, but like it was cold out, and the surveyor wanted to go for lunch, and I'm like, man, like you're screwing us right now. You go for lunch, like, what the fuck, and he's like, well, I'm hungry and that's my right. I'm like, hey, you know what? Absolutely. We didn't argue about it. I'm just like, fuck yeah, man, go for lunch. Right? It takes however long it takes. But I'm like, hey, show me what you're doing there. Teach me how to do your thing, and I'll do it while you're gone. Right? And he had a certain thing. He had a certain thing where, like, his measurements were more strict than what the oil company wanted. Mm-hmm. Right? So like what we can be out on either side. And I'm like, teach me that. He spent 20 minutes showing me how to do it, and then I did it. And he come back from lunch, and he checked all my work. He's like, man, you took what I do, and you went even more strict. And I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Like, yeah, and he's like, you learned in 20 minutes what I went to school for 2 years for. And I'm like, yeah, like, sign me up.
That's part of that networking, man. Like what you were talking about earlier.
Yep.
And whenever you do that shit, that's the job security, man. Is when you over deliver, right? You go out there and you put out.
Yep.
And then, you never know. I mean, that's how I got a job running tools. I over delivered in coil doing what I was doing. And then eventually, when I had aspirations of running tools, I moved my family out here to the Permian, and just kept overworking. And eventually I got a phone call, and I'd moved out here, and I had applied at several places, and I wasn't pushing anything. I was just like, you know what, I'm making good money now. If I get the job, sick. If I don't, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And
Hell yeah.
eventually I got the call, and kind of the same thing with like a lot of tool hands will want to do the next step or either want to go manage somewhere or be a consultant
Consulting.
or something like that. And so there's been times where I've gotten like offers or potential offers, and it's like got nervous and wanted to like push the matter or whatever, but it's just like, no, just keep like, you're doing the right thing. Just go out to location, shut your fucking mouth, do a good job, and ask questions when you don't know. I mean, like, oil and gas is such a level playing ground for fucking anybody. I don't care if you're
Oh,
black, you're white, you're brown, you're yellow, you're green. Like, nobody gives a fuck. They give a fuck if you come out here and you work. You shut up. You don't tell everybody what you know, what your experience is. That's the fucking worst.
I've
When
been
you
here
first meet somebody,
25
I've been
years.
doing it. Yeah, it's like, fuck, dude. I don't give.
Yeah.
Like, I just tell guys now whenever somebody does that, like, I don't even know their name, but they tell me how much experience I got. I was like, dude, I don't fucking care. Like, I don't know you. Like, motherfucker, show me. Like, that's the
Show me
biggest
what
thing.
you
Is
know.
fucking show me. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I don't
Show
care
me
what
what
you
you
say.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I did that, like, there's guys that have been in the oil field half as much as me that know twice as much as me,
Yep.
because that's the level that they're on. So I'm not going to
Yep.
pretend my time in has anything to say about how much of a badass I am. So don't, nobody
Yeah.
fucking cares,
I
dude.
love that part of Oilfield TikTok. I fucking Oilfield social media where it's like, well, how do you feel that knowing that this guy who's 10 years younger than you is already leading the charge? Well, good
Yeah,
for him, man. You know what?
fucking
Like
good for him.
next
Yeah,
job he probably won't be. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
there'll be someone younger than him. Like good for
yeah,
him. He learned at his own pace. He went faster. Man, I'm at the point where, man, I like my schedule. I like what I do. Like I'm making enough money to like feed my family, provide. I don't care about that next rung up on the ladder, dude. Like
yeah,
there are people that strive to climb, right? And there's me who's just, did I want to back in the day? Maybe a little bit. And maybe in the future I will again. But right now, man, I'm content where I'm at in my life.
hmm
I like being able to go home when I want to. I like my schedule. I like the fact that what I'm doing gives me time to, we're doing it now. It gives me
yeah,
time to
yeah. No, hundred
podcast, gives me
percent, dude.
time to run my social media shit, and um the whole social media thing makes me money too, and
Yeah,
I'm
hell yeah, dude.
I'm maybe one day this will make me enough money where I don't have to leave home to provide for my family, and
Fuck yeah, dude.
and that's what I'm kind of sort of working towards. If it doesn't happen, it's cool too. I'm not banking on, I'm not putting my eggs in that basket, maybe I want it to happen, but like I'm not going to force it to. It happens when it happens, I'll make moves when it's time to make moves, and that's just, I'm not going to force it. So
It's so easy to get ahead of yourself, right? It's so easy
amen
to
to that.
go, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. It's like, kind of like what I was saying earlier. Shut up and do the work, man.
Yep.
Like
Actions
I
speak louder than words.
100%, dude. And we started doing the Oilfield Originals thing like last year, like the beginning of last year, pretty much. And we technically started in 2022, but last year I built the website. I started figuring shit out, and it's like, last month I was just like, fuck, dude. I was getting stressed about like money, and I need to put money in this, and I need to do this. And it's like, dude, it's year one. Like, slow down. Like,
Oh yeah.
this isn't something that I had a business model to take off in 6 months. It's like, there's so much work to be done. There's so much learning to be done. It's like, slow down, dude. Fucking
You're gonna
slow
look back
down
10
and
years from
enjoy
now
the
where
process.
this you're gonna look back 10 years from now and see where Oilfield Originals started. You're gonna be in like a warehouse somewhere. And you're like, this started in my bedroom, like
And that's the mindset you have to have with anything, right? With
yeah.
with wanting to be, from entry level oil field to wanting to be consultant, or whatever the fuck you want to do. It's just, it's so easy to look at like today and tomorrow and next week, and it's like, dude, like, if we're lucky, we're gonna live long enough to see it. But just focus on what you're doing right now, or like,
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
like you were saying, the shit, time flies, dude. Like, Like
It seems it'll be almost
yesterday.
20 years, dude, that I'll be in the past. By the end of this boom, it'll be 20 years, dude. Where the
It's
fuck
crazy,
did 20
dude.
years go, man?
Yeah.
My daughter is a
man.
quarter of the way, no, a third of the way to adulthood already. She's 6.
Yeah.
6, 12, 18. She's a third of the way to adulthood.
Not scary, dude.
That's fucking wild, bro. Like,
I've been looking at cars, like, I should probably start thinking about, my daughter's gonna be 12, like, probably should go ahead and get, a beater and just start working on it. She can help me, and by the time, it's gonna go fast, just.
It's wild, dude. I remember when I was 10 years old, right? I remember where I was when I was 6. I remember being my daughter's age. Dude, my parents split when I was 6, and my dad came into my bedroom and they gave me the choice. Who do you want to go with, right? Like, we're splitting up. We don't get along. And I saw that. I knew my parents were always arguing, and and they gave me the choice when I was 6, so I wanted to go live with. And I just looked back and I look at my daughter and like, I was your age when I had to make that decision, right?
Isn't
like,
wild,
I
dude?
remember being 6 years old, almost 30 fucking years ago, man. That is wild, bro. Like, where does the time fucking go?
30,
it's insane,
30
man.
Definitely doesn't feel as near as like doomsday-ish as like everyone that that you listen to as a kid. Like I remember 5 years ago, 6 years ago, just being like, dude, 30's fucking old. Yeah, and then you hit 30, and like I'll be 35 this year, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm 25. Like
I just turned 35 a month ago.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so it's like that's the weird thing to think about. Not to get like too like philosophical or anything, but like if age wasn't like a parameter, if you were just like say no one had birthdays and no one went by age, if you just looked at someone and went, oh, dude, they look old, like are they, man, they look rough,
Yeah.
If that was all you went by, then it's like it's not about how old you are, it's about how you feel, it's about how you're operating. And so it's like, how do I stay at a, fuck my age, how do I stay at a health level where I, mental, physical, emotional, how do I stay at a level with all these pillars to where I can optimize my enjoyment, my enjoyment out of life as long as possible.
That's what this is about.
No, yeah, 100%, dude.
It's my outlet.
How do I do something that I enjoy doing every day? And because that's what I've realized recently is that where I want to be isn't a place. It's not a destination. It's not over there. It's like where I want to be is a direction. Because when you know that you're going the right direction, you're not worried about when you're going to get there. Are we there yet? Or we're here now. It's
you're
like
enjoying the ride to that destination.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Because you don't know if you're going to make it that many miles. It's like just that's why you got to work your ass off, dude. Like every day, like you got to take on responsibility, and you got to look at it as like as joy. It's like I'm not doing this to get somewhere. I'm doing this because I want to be there right now, or else say you do hit a goal and then you go,
now what?
Dude, I was miserable for the last 6 years, and now what? Yeah. It's like there's I forget who, I think it's a rapper. He's got a lyric and it says, if you're not happy in a what is it? If you're not happy in a Toyota, you're not going to be happy in a Lexus, like, which is so true. Kind of like what you were talking about, like you're enjoying where you're at right now. And it's like, and that's the other thing. You're not going to get to that. You're not going to reach that goal that you want if you're so worried about reaching that goal that you want.
Fuck yeah, man. And dude, same. Okay. In a way, it's the same with the podcast, right? A lot of podcasts is like an interview style thing, right? And when I ask people to come on, they're like, I don't know if I could be good at the interview thing. Forget it. It's not even like that. We're just shooting the shit, right? We're just bringing our life experiences to the podcast. We're talking, yada, yada, yada.
It's a conversation, right?
there's a start point to the podcast and an end point to the podcast. And then there's everywhere in between, right? And it's kind of like we could either just go, I could just either ask you about work and we could just shoot right to the end. We can have a 40-minute long podcast, maybe. Or, you know, while we're on that road of work and shit, what we're doing, oh, look, there's a fucking path over here. Let's fucking walk down this path and see where it takes us. Oh, look, there's another path off that path. Let's take that path, right? And, you know, sometimes it leads to 3 hours later. Sometimes it's 2 hours later, you know, and sometimes it's an hour later. But it's not just about work, man. It's like, you know, it's about work. It's about life. It's about fucking everything in between, you know, dude. And like, that's just exactly it. You know, we could either get to the destination and not learn a fucking thing, or we can, you know, we can enjoy the ride, learn a little about, you know what I mean? Like one time, the fucking destination, along the way to the destination, we made a Pokemon reference and we fucking went down that path for half an hour talking about Pokemon, right? It was like, we're grown men talking about fucking Pokemon for half an hour. You know, it's like,
Yeah, no, 100%, dude, and that was the cool thing about just, I mean, not to like, you know, plug, but that was
yeah,
the kind of the crux of Oilfield Originals is me and my buddy Pinto. He worked for a coil company. I ran tools. We met on location, hit it off, and he kind of did the same thing I did. Moved his family out here to the Permian, where hey, there's work all the time. And so we had a lot of things in common, and like we'd get together and hang out like once a year. And for like 3 years, we said, dude, I wish somebody made like some badass like oil and gas shit, like badass shirt, not the same like skull and a hard hat, you know, a
yeah,
hard hat and a skull and hammer, you know, hard hat and wrenches, you know, like we've met so many badass people in the oil and gas. They're into Pokemon. They're into video games. They're into riding Harleys. They're into tattoo culture. They're into skating, BMX, mountain bike. Like all walks of life, you'll find in oil and gas, and that's kind of why we were after that third year. We were like, well, fuck it, dude. Nobody's doing it. Like, why don't we do it? And
yeah.
if people like it, if people dig what we're doing, fucking cool. If they don't, hey, dude, we made some badass shit that we like to wear, and like,
Hell yeah.
and that was
That's exactly
the
like
crux of it.
this.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that's the cool thing about oil and gas, dude. Is we've met so many badass people like that from all walks of life,
I think
and
we've all
most of
learned
the time you just got to talk to them.
I think we've all learned over the course of our time in the oil and gas industry, don't put all your eggs just in one basket because, you know, that downturn is going to come, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when I was coming up, I saw guys making money, extra money on the side, their side hustle, doing what a small business on the side or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck you doing? And they're like, oh, you'll learn one day, boy. You know, like
Yeah.
fucking have your hand in something else too. And I didn't understand that till the first downturn, right? And then, you know, the social media thing has given me that opportunity to put my hands in another basket, right?
Yeah, dude.
And when that downturn does come, right, I'll be ready. I'll be ready to make a little extra cash on the side somewhere else. You know, I will. Maybe this will make me enough by that point where I can get a
Mm-hmm.
job in town, and it won't matter how much I make per hour with that job in
Yeah,
town,
dude.
as long as I have this on the side. You know, and you know, it's basically it's what started out as fun. It's still fun. It's still for me. It's still my outlet. It's turning into another way to secure my family's financial future. Right. And that's at the end of the day, man. I mean, you know, what else can we ask for, right?
And that was one of the things I wanted to ask you about was it's because I know for a fact it's never convenient. It's never a convenient time to make content, right?
Never,
It's never convenient. So
never.
I was going to ask you, is it do you find like slumps where it's just like fuck, I don't want to do this, but I gotta like because that's the thing with like especially like TikTok and all I guess all the platforms is like I mean I guess it's a really good parameter for life, man. Successful in anything, you just have to be consistent,
You
right?
got to put the
You have
work
to
in.
work. Yeah, you got to work at it consistently. So was there a video or a post initially where you were like maybe I've got something here?
Yeah, man. When I first started posting, I was just posting. My very first post was I was at a Walmart, and there was like during COVID, and it was like you can only walk one way down the aisles, right? So you're not bumping
Yeah.
into people. And I
Yeah, I
went the
remember
wrong
that.
way down. I went the wrong way down an aisle, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll walk backwards." And I made it into a video. I'm like, COVID life hack. When you go down the wrong way or the one way, you just walk backwards. It fucking works, right? 1,900 views. I'm like, badass. That's cool. 1,900 people watched my video.
Yeah.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Right. And then because I tried to get on Vine. I tried so hard, but I couldn't figure it out. And then, I went home and I made a little bit of content with my wife and kids, but it didn't go anywhere. It was like 100 views here, 200 views there. I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever, 200 people, that's still whatever. And then I come back to work and I did my first video that I did in the oil field at work was the finger down challenges were big at that time. Put a finger down if you relate to this, right? And it was like, put a finger down oil field edition, right? Like put a finger down if you're not allowed to grow a beard because I'm in Canada, you're not allowed to grow a beard on site. Put a finger down if you can't grow a beard, but instead you have this greasy fucking mustache. Mustaches are popular, right? Finger down.
No, yeah,
All
for
these
sure.
other things. Put a finger down if a politician's views on oil and gas have ever made you lose your job. Finger down, right? And then at the end, it was like, put a finger down if you hate Justin Trudeau. And all fingers went down, right? And I had 5 left. All of them went down. 60,000 views in a couple hours. I'm like, shut up, man. That's cool, dude, right? And I tried it again. Didn't fucking take off, right? And then, it wasn't for a while. I look back at all those old videos. I look back at the beginning and I just cringe. I'm like, I can't believe I ever gained a following off doing shit like that, right? And it's wild, dude. And yeah, you're right. There's never a convenient time to do it. And yeah, there's times where I don't want to do it, right? It's just like, at the beginning, up until last year, I felt the need to have to do it. I had to put out a video or two every day, right? But then it was something somebody, Bentelek, said to me on the podcast. He's like, you know what, man? He's like, there are a few days, maybe a week where I won't post anything just because, I don't have anything at that time, right? And I'm not just going to put out shit. It becomes quality over quantity, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I realized very quickly that if I don't post for a couple days, a couple million people aren't just going to hit the unfollow button, he's got 20 million followers or some shit. And you know what? I realized that too, if I don't post for a couple days, 70,000 people on my TikTok account aren't just going to suddenly unhit the follow button, So it's like, all right, I need a break from social media for a couple days, right? And then there are times where it's like, well, shit, man, I have no ideas. I got nothing. Right. And then, I gotta, go down the rabbit hole of the For You page and get ideas. Single fucking moms, dude. Go down their TikTok. Single moms or housewives. They have the best sounds and the best ideas that give you an idea. You're like, oh shit, dude, I could do something with that sound. Throw it over, make it blue collar. Fucking works. I love the fucking housewives or the single moms, dude. They always have the best shit.
Dude, some of those accounts are fucking getting wacky, dude. Or like the whole breastfeeding moms thing. It's getting fucking out of control, dude. like there's chicks trying to like beat. I was watching a podcast about this yesterday, but there's chicks trying to beat the algorithm, since the algorithm now allows you to like be a breastfeeding mom, where they'll just have a fake baby in the post or whatever, and they'll just be like showing tit, but they're not really breastfeeding. I'm just like, yeah, work, girl, work.
All right, man, good for you. You've done it.
That's what we should do next. We should do some topless posts with the baby, see if they get flagged or not.
Yeah, man. And so but all this is a lot of work, man. It's like having a full-time job on top of a full-time job. I do the podcast, 2 TikTok pages, 3 TikTok pages with a podcast TikTok page, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the podcast. Oh, dude, it's insane, man. And it gets very tiring at times. And it's
that's the cool thing about Ass Time, though.
Yeah, that is the cool thing about Ass Time. But a lot of the time when I'm on Ass Time, it's like I want to have a nap, right? Like,
no, 100%, dude.
Yeah,
I'll sit on location for 12 hours sometimes, not doing shit.
Yeah,
and not make one post.
Yeah,
and feel guilty as fuck about it. And but it's easy to do, but it's way easy not to do.
Whew, buddy.
Especially like what you're doing now, because you just worked last night, right?
Yeah. So it happens a few. Yeah, it's happened a few times where, I get off work and it's like, hey man, well, this guy's available during the day. I'm working nights, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm gonna get off work. I'll have a little nap, and then you know what? Like the podcast has become my baby, right? Like
Yeah.
I haven't missed a week. This will be episode 63, I believe. I haven't missed a week in
Oh, hell yeah.
63 weeks,
Congrats, dude.
right?
I was
And
hoping it was going to be 69, but whatever.
yeah, you know what? I think I have an idea for episode 69. I'm just gonna throw the link out there for people to join,
Okay.
and whoever joins, just be like an orgy, like a
Oh, sick.
chaotic
Hell yeah,
fucking
dude.
orgy. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
it'll be. So you keep saying though, like, hey, I don't mean to plug, but man, that's kind of what I want to get there, but like, how did
Yeah.
Oilfield Originals start, man? And like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the origins of it. Was like me and my buddy just hanging out, and being like, well, nobody's making cool shit, that we want to put on, like, and that's, we want to get to the FRs, right? And that's something that we're saving to do it right, because we don't want to cut corners on the FR front and some
Yeah.
dude get, burnt up or something wearing our shit. We want quality shit, and we want cool shit, But when you're looking at, like you were saying earlier, you can have flash fires on oil and gas sites like super easy.
Oh yeah,
So we
they
want we
happen a
want to
lot
do
more than you think. A bunch
a
happened
lot
on
more than
site
you
when I was
think.
there and didn't even know.
Yeah, yeah.
They
A
quietly
lot of
put it
them,
out.
yeah, a lot of them aren't recorded because it was just like, let's not do that, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Or never mind, those never happen, is what I meant to say.
Yeah. Hey, nothing's happening here, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, so me and my buddy just decided, well, let's, fuck it, let's do it. And we started a partnership LLC, 50/50. Uh built a website off of one of the website builders. Started doing reached out to some designers, got some designs, just basically spent a fuckload of money, dude, and just constantly, just putting money into it. And at the end of the year, right now it's only going to help me. Like you learn when you get in the field of business, is you learn, like, oh yeah, this is what all these rich motherfuckers are doing, so they don't have to pay taxes. They're
Yep.
spending all their tax money investing into companies. And
You
so
don't let your company make any money. You put all that
never,
money back in, man. You spend it
never.
all, right?
That's
Because
right. That's right.
it's
I
a
mean,
write off.
yeah, dude. I had a buddy here in Midland that used to sell jets, right? He worked at like a jet dealer. And he was telling me the story where he's talking to this dude that's buying. I don't even know. I don't know jets. Not yet. Maybe in 10 years. But probably not. But he was like, hey, dude, I've got basically the same jet. It's brand used. He's like, I could, instead of 1.2 mil, he's like, I could get it to you for 600 grand, and it's basically brand new. And the dude was like, man, honestly, if I don't spend this 1.2, I'm gonna lose it. And that's what he was
Exactly.
talking about. Like, his company had made so much money that Uncle Sam was just going to eat that 1.2 up. So instead, he was like, well, let me spend it on a jet,
Yep.
at the end
Yeah.
of the year. And it's like, and that's been one of the cool things about, starting a business, dude, is like, you either learn how to run a business, which is beneficial to you,
Yep.
or you don't learn how to run the business, and it's way not beneficial to you, because Uncle Sam's going to eat your lunch either way, dude.
Yep.
So that's been a cool thing. And you just got to keep, you just got to remember, like, you got to ask questions. Like, I was talking to my CPA the other day, just like, how do I do this? How do we do this? How can we do this? And before then, I had a shitty CPA that was like, I can get you this return. And I was like, well, that's fucking garbage. So I'm going down the road, and you gotta ask questions, dude. Or yeah. You'll get robbed blind in this day and age, dude. All the,
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the fucking memberships and subscriptions that you'll pay for fucking
Oh
every
yeah.
week without knowing it. They'll just, yeah, you'll get fucking drained, dude. Forget the scams, dude, this this last month, dude, I went through our finances, especially being hurt shit. I've just had time on my ass. I went through all our all our bank accounts and transactions, and I was like, where's all this goddamn money going? Like, it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
not it's leaving my account as fast as it's coming in, which is kind of like what you're talking about with lifestyles, dude. You gotta set yourself on a lifestyle that, you know or else you are going to have to get that consulting gig, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Man, you see the
Because
consultants making a fuck ton of money, and you just know, like, man, they could never go back now, right? Like that
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
lifestyle they've
yeah,
set their
yeah,
family
dude.
on, you know, and maybe they're smart about it. If they're smart about it and they
So,
live
yeah, and
like they
some of
don't
them
make that
are,
money,
right? A
beautiful.
lot of them
Yeah.
aren't though, dude. And that's the shittiest spot to be in, to not be living below your means,
Oh,
because the downturn comes for those guys fast, right? They're the
almost.
first to get let go. You know, you're making the most money, but you're the first to get let go. And when, dude, I've seen some of those dudes fucking spiral so fast, dude.
Oh yeah.
Go from you know, $200,000 or $300,000, you know, car payments, car notes, to selling all their shit, and then, you know, just divorce and drug rehab, and, you know, yeah, those bills will eat your lunch fast,
You
dude.
live like a rock star. You're gonna live that rock star treatment on the way down, you know.
Dude, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I've seen some of those dudes come out of it, you know, with that lesson learned, and then you see some of them just kind of hopping company to company, doing the same thing, just, and they look stressed as fuck, dude.
The downturn comes for us all, but it comes for those at the top the quickest, you know.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
100%, dude. Yeah. So back to your question. Yeah, that's how we started, and right now we're just doing like drop ship stuff. Uh, and actually, I bought some screen printing equipment, so that's a whole nother learning curve. I gotta learn how to do the screen printing gig, because that's another potential LLC that me and my buddy have talked about starting. Uh, that'll help us, and that'll, like I said, can also generate some side income.
Yep. Yep. The have you seen he's also in the I think he's in Vegas. Maybe he works in Texas though. Have you seen Oilfield 365 Petrolero?
Yeah, so I've I want to say I've seen his TikTok, and I've seen a couple of guys with Oilfield 365 stuff on,
Yeah.
but I don't know the guy. I haven't talked to him.
Reach out to him. I can even hook you guys up. I
Okay.
hooked him up with another guy here in Canada who makes oil field gear, and that guy,
Mhm.
man, he took a leap of faith with FR gear,
Mhm.
and it worked out for him. He dumped his own money into it, 10 grand of his own money, not knowing if it was coming back to him or not.
Yeah. Hell
And
yeah, dude.
the guy had to move from his mom's fucking closet to a whole ass factory, man. The guy did like seven
Hell
thousand.
yeah.
He was on the podcast a few months ago, and
Okay.
well, he did it in his shop. And I'm like, man, how many shirts went out today? And fucking, he asked, and they're like, oh, we sent out like 7,000.
That's
Like,
sick, dude.
shut up, man. Like,
That's
no,
awesome.
you didn't send out 7,000 shirts today. You know, like, stop it. He's like, ah, yeah. I'm like, oh, fuck, that's deadly, man. Fucking reach out to that guy, man. Like, he's
Yeah.
got it
No. Yeah.
down
For
packed,
sure.
and he's willing to help. You know what I mean? And we talk about it all the time. You know, I have a lot of other podcasters come on, and you know, a
Mhm.
lot of blue collar podcasts, oilfield podcasts, and we talk. You know, and it's like, we could either gatekeep or we could collab, you know what I mean? And those at the top, they're collaborating, right? You know what I
Dude.
mean? Because
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
understand the
man.
winning formula is to
Yeah.
do it together. When one of us win, we all win. You know what I mean?
Well,
We can
yeah.
still compete, but we got to collaborate at the same
It's
time.
it's 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 so easy to get in the mindset that, well, yeah, that's competition. No, I'm gonna lose sales over. No, that dude fucks with Oilfield 365. He's not gonna fuck with me. Like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
no, dude. There's how many fucking people in the world are there?
A lot. 8
A
billion.
fucking ton, dude. And that's what me and my buddy talked about. It's like there's enough pie in just the oil and gas industry for us
Yep.
to make some money. Like, fuck Ariat, fuck Carhartt, fuck these big. I mean, and I wear both of them, right? I've been wearing
Yep.
both of them for years. Like, but it's like there's enough pie for us there. They can be doing it better. So they're not, so we're gonna do it better.
Yeah. And maybe they'll
And so
learn from
that's
you, you know, and then
100%, dude. And
how
that's
crazy
the
would
whole.
that be?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's how the free market works, right? That's why oil and gas has innovated so much, is because there's competition. If there wasn't competition, we'd be doing the same old bullshit, super expensive fracking that we were doing back in 2008, like, but because of the competition, in every industry, there's growth. And so
Yep.
it's like, if nobody's going to be pushing, these big FR brands like Oilfield 365, then nothing's going to get better. Nothing's going to get more comfortable. Nothing's going to look cooler. Nothing's going to be pushed. And so, yeah, that's what we understand is it's not about pushing people out. That's for the big corporations to do.
That
Fuck
fucking
them.
shirt you're wearing is fucking deadly. Love the arm, the shit on the
Oh,
arm, man.
thanks, dude. Yeah, yeah.
I gotta go and get one of those, man. That's
So
fucking
so
sick.
this is a jacket that's gonna be part of our violent uh violent problems, violent solutions line that we're gonna come out with this spring. So this one's not on there yet. The hat's on there, but this isn't
I
on
gotta
there
get
yet.
that hat too. I love the Letterman style shit. It's not
Yeah,
Letterman, but like the fucking writing
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
fucking
yeah.
sick. I
Thanks, dude.
love that.
Yeah, this was our first like custom hat. So it's got like the custom taping with our brand and everything
Dude,
on it.
that is
Like, we're
sick.
super super proud of these.
How
But
much
yes,
are those hats on the website?
these are 35, I think.
Man,
I
35
should know
bucks
that
for a hat nowadays
off
is
the
actually
dome.
pretty good, dude. Like
Thanks, man.
I
These
remember when
might be
hats were
40,
20
but I'm
bucks. I
pretty
remember
sure
when
they're
hats were
35.
$20, and now
Well,
hats are pushing 60.
yeah, just shoot me your address on Instagram or whatever, and I'll shoot you a little care package.
Fucking, I was gonna say about the whole like super expensive fracking thing, right? Fucking, I was talking to a trucker one time. Oh, the New York Rangers just extended Jonathan Quick. I don't know if you watch hockey, but whatever. So,
Dude,
I was gonna say,
I don't watch hockey, but hockey's sick, and I did just watch a fucking sick documentary on what was that dude's name? He was I don't even remember the name of it, but it's about the dude that was fighting everybody that played for the Red Wings.
it was Bob Probert.
Probert, yeah. I watched
Yeah.
his documentary the other day, and it's fucking sick, dude. That dude's a fucking legend.
So I was talking to like a consultant one time, and he said with fracking, he's like, prior to the last, like, I'd say the last 15 years or so, right? Like, they would frack, and a good return was 60-65%, right? They're like, that's perfect. We're making money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think it was, they introduced friction reducer, FR. And when they introduced that, man, they're getting 90 to 95% returns when they started using that. They said 2 days of fracking pays for the entire operation from the rig on down. 2 days of fracking.
Do you know so they were using friction reducer before, but what happened was I think it was 2008. I think it was 2008 when I think that was the downturn where it happened. There's a really cool book called The Frackers.
Okay. I'll
It's
check that out.
Excellent book, but it's all about these like early on wildcatters in the oil and gas industry, and it's, like I said, super sick book. But what happened was they were forced to cut costs, so they started cutting all these chemicals like your crosslink and gel and a lot of these other expensive chemicals that they were pumping that they thought they had to pump. And because they cut them, because they had to problem solve, because they couldn't afford to do it, they problem solved and they figured out that these slick water fracks were working better. And they were like, what the fuck? And so they were pretty much just pumping FR with a little bit of gel to help carry the sand. And because they had to cut costs, they figured out a way to do it cheaper, and that's when fracking just fucking went crazy and blew up. And that's one reason why it's so economical now. And
Fuck, that's
a lot of
badass.
people, yeah, a lot of people hear about fracking and they go, "Oh, that's so bad." But one of the ways that fracking's been so beneficial is that it got so much more economical that everything was more efficient. So in turn, your gas prices are down. You're able to make things cheaper for people that can't afford them. And that's where people get fucked up about oil and gas is, they demonize it so bad. But that's one of the sick things about people like you and other content creators in oil and gas. We're starting to get this like good marketing team for oil and gas. You know, people are seeing
Oil and
like,
gas has a
oh shit,
badass marketing, has a bad marketing problem, right? We
terrible,
talked
dude,
about it a lot.
terrible. Yeah. So that's one of the cool things about technology as just as a whole is it's, you know, it's seeping into oil and gas too, and the content's getting pushed out there, and people are like, no, like oil and gas is fucking, it's running the world. It's making our lives fucking comfortable as shit, dude. You know, like
Yep.
nature's metal. You know, nature
You
is metal.
guys, you guys using that new acid on the fracs yet?
So I'm not in frack a lot. Isn't it called like green acid or something?
Something like that. You could put your hand in it. You could swallow this shit and it won't fuck you up. They said, okay, you know, maybe seek medical attention. Like it might irritate
Yeah.
you, but like it's I can't remember the name of it, man. The consultant was showing me this like 2 years ago. He was showing this to me. He's like, it's absolute dog shit downhole. Like
Yeah.
it's doesn't work. But they're using it anyways, and like maybe they've come up with a new way over the last 2 years, but it works a little better. But they send it downhole and it does a little bit of the job, right? But he's like, yeah, man, touch it. I'm like, I'm not touching acid, bro. What are you talking? He fucking sticks his hand in there and he pulls it out. He showed me a YouTube video on it. He's like, I refuse to touch it until I watch this YouTube video like 20 times. And he showed me the YouTube video on it, and the guy sticks his hand in there. It knows when it's a living organism, and it doesn't do fuck all to you.
So it's got some kind of activator in it.
Yeah. So fucking, he's like, it works when you put it down hole. He put it on some other shit. It ate through it. He puts it on his hand. He's like, it's all good, man. And then there was a puddle of it on the ground the other day, and I went to go touch it, and the guy's like, no, that's not that acid. That's the other shit. It's like, you don't touch.
You're like,
that.
no, watch.
I'm like, no, that's cool, bro. Watch, bro. I watched the YouTube. No. You know, like it's wild, man. It's wild.
Yeah, because I think we both know there's definitely some batshit crazy stuff on location sometimes that you don't want to fuck with.
I'm a vac hauler. I suck out the oil fields chemicals, bro. I know all about it. I know all about, man, fucking that biocide. Biocide, man. That shit'll fuck you right up, man.
Yeah, dude. We used to run bio a lot because I started out in frac, and so when you're starting out, like you're getting covered in fucking everything, dude.
Yeah.
And one of the things I did was strap chemicals, and I would just sit on a tote and just like, you know, you stick your strap stick in there and radio. All right, we got 54 inches. You know, we lost 3 inches or whatever. And one of my buddies, he went to swap totes and had full PPE on, full gear, and the tote was left open, and he pulled the hose off, and he didn't realize it, and it hit his chest and just went.
Fuck.
Got a pretty sizable check from Halliburton.
I bet.
Because his vision was gone for a little bit. Thank God he got his vision back. But yeah, there's some bad shit on location.
That's not good, man. Fuck. Hey, I got a question. Do you know what viscosity is?
Viscosity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's viscosity in yours?
Explain it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so we use viscosity a lot in downhole operations, but it's pretty much just like the thickness of the fluid.
Yeah,
it's how I would describe it. It's how thick the fluid is.
Yeah, where I'm going with it is the podcast is sponsored by the Mudman. The Mudman deals in viscosity. You know, he deals in the thickness of your load. You know, you got a thick load. Yeah. How thick is your load?
Dude, dude. My last load I spent it had to have been like 120, dude.
120, yeah?
120.
You didn't get her pregnant off that, did you?
Dude, my wife is a terrible person, by the way. Let me just put that out there. No, yesterday morning, she's been telling me, hey, I you know, she's off birth control because she's trying to get her hormones right and shit, and I haven't gotten snipped yet. And so I've been using the pull-out method, been fucking flawless, right? Been doing great. And I woke up yesterday, had to piss, and I was like, hey, did you start yet? Because she kept saying, I haven't started my period. I'm like, she goes, no, I'm about to take a test. I was like, okay. So I hop back in bed. I fucking pass out. I get woke up to Trey, I'm pregnant. You know, you come out like, what? Huh? We got enough shit on our fucking, you know, chest right now to begin with.
Yeah.
And then immediately starts laughing. I'm like, you're a terrible person. Go away.
We're trying. We're trying for one more year. Well,
Yeah.
maybe two more. We're trying right now. Yeah.
What would you say the visc is on your load? Where are you sitting?
She thick, boy. You know, as men in our mid 30s, right? You know, as men in
Yeah.
our mid 30s, we'll never have larger loads than we have right now, right? And that's a fact,
That's
right?
what they say. I'm not gonna believe it. I'm gonna continue to try to shoot like huge rope. You know.
Yeah. So our loads are never bigger than they are right now. And I'm taking zinc too. So zinc helps
Hell
with
yeah,
that.
dude.
So
Hell
like,
yeah.
man, my loads, dude, she's a cream pie, bro. Like, you know,
Hell yeah,
she's
dude.
oh dude, yeah. And
It's good. It's good to know that I'm on a podcast with a dude shooting fucking thick loads.
fuck yeah, man. And the Mudman. He deals in thick loads. If I ever need to get the viscousness down, I get the Mudman on my team. You know, like
Yeah, no,
he could tell me,
100%,
you
dude.
know, hey man, like, hey, shoot a load into this cup for me, and I'll tell you how much you need to bring it up or down. You know, and it's good to have the Mudman on my team. You know, so
Hell yeah, dude.
yeah, so that's
Have you ever taken oh go ahead.
so that's www.mudmarket.com for all your drilling fluid and laboratory testing equipment needs.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, man.
Good to have a sponsor. Have you ever taken like a viscosity or like done a viscosity test on fluid before? With like a
Uh
marsh funnel?
yeah, I've seen it done
Okay.
while the mud man was right there. I watched it be done. I'm
Okay.
always hanging up on the mud tanks when I'm at
Okay.
work,
Sick. Yeah.
anyways. When
Yeah,
yeah,
because you're on the drilling side a lot, right?
yeah, yeah, a
Okay.
lot, yeah.
So that's a side I would say I've got the least infos about. I usually come in post cement. So
Yeah.
I'll like once a well is completed, usually if I'm out there, I'll go out there and like if there's some cement in the shoe down hole or they can't pump into the well, I'll go out there and I'll clean out to bottom and then we'll perf at bottom so they can pump down that first frac stage. But anything prior to that, I'm like my knowledge is
How
minimal.
long does it take to do some of this shit? Like, what's the longest you've ever taken to have to go downhole to clean a well out?
Well, these bitches are getting deep, dude. What's
They are.
do you know some of the depths that you guys have been doing up north?
I know 2 or 3 years ago, one of the rigs down here, they drilled the North American depth record. And then like a week later, a company in Texas beat their record. And then a week later, one of the rigs in the town that I'm working in, it was a different rig. So that first one did it here. And then down the road from here actually is one of the deepest wells in North America right now. And I don't know if anyone's beat that one or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 9,000 or something like that, or a little deeper than that, or
Do you know
something.
what do you know what like TD was? Like the bottom of the well?
I have no idea
Because
what
like
the bottom was, right?
so
Because
like
yeah, you could go over to the bottom and then shoot over that way, right?
yeah,
So
right. Yeah, so like some of the wells that a lot of the drill outs will do or clean outs will do is like anywhere from 19,000 to like 23,000
wow,
foot at TD. But man, some of these wells they're requiring coil to have 25,000 foot of pipe on the reel because some of the TDs are like 26,000 foot, which is like
wow,
insane. It's
that's
nuts, dude.
crazy. That is
Miles
crazy,
and
man.
miles.
That is
So like
nuts,
yes,
right?
so to answer your question, it like some of these wells that are 23,000 foot deep, if we just got to do a clean out prior to frac coming in, so it's a clean hole, you know, just casing, we can usually shoot down there pretty quick, dude. Maybe go in hole and be at bottom in, 10, 11 hours if we're ripping and, and getting, and we don't see, excuse me, and we don't see too much friction. But that's the other cool thing. You start seeing friction down hole, and then hey, you got pipe on pipe, which is just basically like a diesel oil based chemical that you pump down that reduces the friction against your pipe in the casing. Have you heard the term pipe on pipe?
I've never heard of pipe on pipe. No.
Yeah, so pipe on pipe's friction reducer, but it's not for fluid friction. It's metal on metal friction
Okay.
reduction. But yeah. I mean, sometimes we'll go do drill outs where we got to pump nitrogen. So we'll commingle nitrogen as our artificial lift. So we'll have artificial well pressure, and those wells take a minute, dude.
I love talking to all the services on site, man. Like I'm
I bet it's sick, dude.
Oh, dude, I go sit in the in the wireline truck every now and then. Like when I was on a frac, I'd go sit in the wireline truck. I'd pick the brain of the logger for a bit. I'd be like, "Hey, man, so like, what's going on? How much do you make? Are you guys hiring?" I almost became a wireliner before I hit this, but because at the time it was starting to slow down.
Those guys
yeah,
make
man,
some money, dude.
they make They make percentage of the ticket, dude. You know, and
Yeah.
that's crazy. You be making money in your sleep,
Yeah,
right? And then so talking to other services, I picked the brain of a crane operator there last week when I was on site. We were just chilling. He was in his fucking trailer playing PS4 and watching TV and shit. And I'm like, man, like, what do you make per hour? And he's like, well, it all depends on what size crane I'm on. It changes, And then fucking, he showed me his pay stub, man. It was mid-February. He's already 40 grand in for the year. And I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Really? It's not even fucking.
Crane dudes get paid. And the cool thing about cranes is like, you're going to see them on, upstream, downstream, midstream.
They're everywhere.
Dude, I mean, I'm sure it's the same in your town. You drive around and you just see cranes, they're versatile.
I had a crane operator on the podcast, Morgan Bosch, and she's making bank too. I actually applied to be a crane operator apprentice, so we're waiting on that one to come back. Dude.
Yeah. It's the cool thing about cranes is like you don't have to put in like a shit ton of time as a rigger before you can go and take your certification, get certified, and then start running a crane. Yeah, like you just got to get certified, and then everything's in the book, right?
Yeah. So he was showing me he makes OT after 8, double time after 10, and then fucking I'm like, dude, really, man? Like you're making that money.
A lot of them don't have to drive the crane to location, which is sick. They drive a pickup, just fall behind the rigger because those cranes. I think we've all been fucking caught behind a crane on the road going 55.
Oh yeah. Yep, we sure have. Where do you see Oilfield Originals going in the next, what's your 5-year outlook for Oilfield Originals?
So I'm not gonna pretend to have like a master plan or anything. I'm definitely figuring. I'm one of those guys that fucking does it and figures it out as he goes, and I'm getting better at planning and making goals and all that shit. But I'm not gonna pretend like this is my business plan, my 5-year plan. But I'm hoping in 5 years that I can be looking at my job going, I really don't have to do this anymore. I really need to be putting all my time, because that was what I thought, dude. Like, how many hours do we put into working for the companies we work for, dude?
Yep, a lot.
And that's where all the money comes from. People go, oh, dude, you Oilfield guys make all the money. It's like, okay, ask me how much I work.
Yeah.
Go work your job the same hours I do, and you'll make good money, dude. We work a fuck ton of hours, dude. And it's not all. I'm not gonna pretend it's all hard ass work. A lot of it is ass time or sitting there, waiting. But yeah. So I'm under the mindset if I can put those hours into my own shit, there's no reason why I can't succeed beyond my wildest dreams. So I'm hoping in 5 years that hopefully I'm doing this full time, man. Hopefully I'm going out to locations and seeing the guys that I used to work with, throwing them free gear, and that's making me money, and I'm not just like losing money on marketing. I want to go out to, I want people to see me roll up in whatever I'm driving and go, oh fuck yeah, dude, that's Trey, dude. We're all getting hooked up.
Fuck yeah, that's Trey.
How fun is that? Yeah. Because how fun is it getting free shit? Like we love our free T-shirts and our free company hats. And
man, during the downturn, man, there wasn't many hats to be had. And dude, I don't know if you can see my room here or not. I got like 6 hats over there. I got 2 or 3 hats over there. I got a couple hats over here, man. Like I haven't gotten this many hats in the last fucking, I'd say 2 years or a year and a bit, anyways, as I have ever, dude. Like it's my wife is like, I told her, I'm like, there's a package coming in the mail, right? And social media's help with that too. I get a lot of hats, man. You know, a lot of people
Oh
like,
yeah.
hey, rock this hat on your videos for me. I'm
Hell
like,
yeah,
fuck
dude.
yeah, man. I'm more than happy to. I'm more than happy to support. Happy to pay for it too, right? But like, if it's gonna be free, it's gonna be free. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But like, you know, she's like, you got another package here. I'm like, yeah, that's a hat. She's like, no more hats. Stop it,
Dude,
right?
yeah.
Stop it. And I'm like,
Bro,
no,
I
never
had
gonna
to
happen.
clean out hats. I had to clean out hats like 2 years ago. I had like they were just falling out of my closet. Like there was so many hats. And so I had to chill out on the hats. But
Keep this, man. This is the Mudman's hat. That's his logo.
oh, that's sick. Yeah, no, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
that's super dope. It's like the MLB logo.
Yeah, he's got a couple. He's got like a John Deere one now.
Oh, that's cool.
It's fire.
Have you had any like managers of service companies reach out?
Yep. Oh yeah.
That's sick. That's where
Like to go
dude.
work for them or.
Well, either or. Have you had? I was more asking in the form of like content because a lot of these seems like a lot of the service companies are starting to get or they're starting to hire people in to do a lot of marketing stuff, and a lot of
They
that
are. They're starting
is
to realize.
it's turning into the social media thing. They're like,
Yep.
oh, this is real,
They're starting to
and so that was
realize that this.
I
Yep.
think that's where you're going to make big money off this podcast is when you have so many episodes in, and then you're going to have your sponsors are going to be like fucking BP and fucking
Oof, don't make me
TTS
hard like
and
that.
fucking
Settle down. Settle down. Don't get me
no
don't
no
get
I mean
me all hard like that, buddy.
that's where all this shit's going, and me and my partner have talked about as far as content. Podcasts are so valuable in the
There's only
networking realm,
200,000 active podcasts in the world.
and again, how many people are there?
A lot.
I think you're still early is what I'm getting at. I think you're still early and
100%.
you're on a good trajectory, and I think that's where you're going to end up if you keep it up. Is you're going to have, you're going to be doing these sponsored at TTS downhole. We're not just a motor company, like you're going to be reading off, which is going to be sick, because then you're going to get to do shit like that full time, and
I
no,
think that's fucking awesome, man. I would love to do shit like that. I already,
mm-hmm.
Fucking had a company try to hire me on last year. Basically, another vac company just to do social media for them. They were going to hire me just as their social media guy.
Oh,
And I wasn't
sick,
ready for
dude.
that. I wasn't ready
Sure.
for that yet. Didn't think I could handle that. My boss is now getting me to do that for him. Right.
Hell yeah,
and
dude.
and I'm
Did you tell him about it or what?
Embracing. Yeah, I kind of did, but like it was.
Yeah.
I didn't tell him all the details.
Just to let you know.
Didn't tell him all the details.
Poached.
Yeah, man, and a couple of years ago, 5-6 years ago, having your phone out on site was a big no-no, right?
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like you can do it as long as it doesn't interfere with your work. As long as you don't show logos for the most part, and don't show anything unsafe or dangerous,
Yeah,
and
don't be stupid, right?
Yeah, and I mean, even that's changing. The no logo thing is changing. Look at I don't know if you follow Lane Borley on TikTok and Instagram. Here, he works for Precision Drilling. He works for PD,
okay,
and
I've seen him.
They pay him now to make videos
to go out to site and make video. Yeah.
Well, he's a dare can. He's already on site, right? He's already making videos, right? Like, man, I'm already doing this shit for free, right? So now, like, why not get paid to do it? And you got all these drilling companies now. You got Ensign, PD, Horizon, a couple. There's some safety companies. There's service companies that are on TikTok now. And I think that I'm not gonna say like guys like me started it. I think we did, but
no,
like
100%, dude. Anyone like you have and like I said, this is all. I think it's all good, and there's going to be bad eggs, sure, but it's you're definitely a part of that wave of creators that are bringing, like I said, good marketing to oil and gas, and that's sick, dude. And
absolutely.
I mean, have you heard of Digital Wildcatters? Yeah, Digital Wildcatters.
Digital Wildcatters?
I think it's Digital Wildcatters. Yeah, DW. They're so it's two dudes that started. They just started making content, but like it was like 4 or 5 years ago. Check out their Instagram, but they started putting on oilfield events, and so they're they're big into the just bringing all the energy spaces together. So whether
That's
it's
huge.
drilling, service companies, electric generation, Bitcoin mining, like they're basically creating these big oil field shows, pretty much events for energy just as a whole. But yeah, check them out. And that was their whole philosophy, was like, oh yeah, content is that's the new thing, is content for whatever you have. That's your marketing team. Like everybody's gonna, I think, dude, 5 years down the road, if I don't have my own digital team, like I'm doing so much wrong. Like I project by the end of next year I'll have my own digital team, not necessarily doing all the digital marketing, but basically doing a lot of like my editing and posting.
I do all that
Because
myself
it's
right now.
yeah, it's so much work, dude. And like same with you, I think eventually you'll have a whole team that's doing a lot of the workload, so you can focus on the creativity aspect. Because I mean,
Yeah, that'd be cool, actually.
no, yeah, 100%, dude. Because if you're doing too much hourly work, if you're not really enjoying it, like you're not gonna have any time for your brain to be creative, and then your shit's just gonna go downhill. Because I think that's why. I mean, that's why you're sitting here right now. It's because you enjoy this. Like this is something
It's
that
my
you
outlet, man.
somewhat enjoy. Yeah.
I don't just somewhat. I love it.
Oh yeah.
I had last week on the podcast, I've been listening to this podcast called History of the 90s for like 10 years, right? I don't know if it's 10 years, but it's been a few anyways. And like one of the first podcasts I ever started listening to, right? And she basically goes down like different events that happened in the 90s. Every episode's a different thing. Like you had like the traveling music festivals, you had Woodstock 99, you had the Rwandan genocide, you had all this other shit, right? Everything that's happened in the 90s. And I've been listening to her podcast for years. And last week I had her on. I had her on the podcast, man.
That's
It was
sick,
like,
dude.
man,
That's
I
awesome.
fanboyed hard. I
I
fanboyed
bet,
hard,
dude. I bet
man.
that was I bet that was like probably one of your best podcasts.
Oh, dude, yeah, it was up there for sure. Have you seen the dancing trucker on TikTok?
Mm-mm.
He fucking got him over 1 million followers. I just got him to come on. Lim Lost Boss, we've talked about. I'm getting Dave Marciano from Wicked Tuna on. He's coming on.
Sick.
Oh, dude, man, it's this year shaping up to be an amazing year for the podcast. And last year was an amazing year for the podcast.
Yeah.
Like we had a whole fucking amazing lineup of people. And this year, man, because the podcast is growing, because my social media has grown, it's giving me access to more people, right? And I'm part of Troll Clothing now. That has given me access to some incredible blue collar workers.
Super awesome. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You're gonna have what's his name on soon? What was the? I think you've posted about it a couple of times. The dude that did Dirty Jobs.
Mike Rowe. I'm trying.
Mike Rowe, yeah.
Mike Rowe, dude. Mike Rowe, we're trying. Mike Rowe, if you're listening right now, man, I'm gonna use this as a fucking clip. Mike Rowe, if you're listening right now, bro, let's go, buddy.
Let's go.
I'm tagging him every chance I get on every platform.
Man.
I want Mike Rowe on.
That's how you do it, man. And he seems like a real dude that eventually it'll pop up and he'll go, yeah, I'm gonna go do that.
He seems like a real down to earth dude, you know. And I see him on Facebook, and I see him on fucking Instagram and Threads and TikTok.
You know that's
he's not. You know that's
why. That's why it's because he spent so many hours around just real people that like he doesn't have a choice. Like
he also has his own podcast.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I haven't checked it out yet. What's your schedule been like with your podcast? Do you have?
I record whenever I can.
A regimen?
Every Tuesday at 5.
Okay.
Every Tuesday. So I say 5, but I drop it at 4:30, and it takes like half an hour roughly to come out to all the I guess hosting websites like Spotify and Apple, all the platforms. It takes like half an hour to get out. So I say 5, but it drops at 4:30. So
okay. Do you ever watch Modern Wisdom with?
No.
He's one of like the self-help guys. I mean I hate to put him in that genre, but he's pretty big podcast. But he was talking about his first like 100 episodes And like he's at so many episodes now that he's just like he looks at those first 100. It's like kind of like what you were talking about with your first TikToks is just complete garbage.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
look at my
that's what.
first 10 as that.
Yeah. Well,
Before I got
and
the new
that's
audio and shit like that. The
yeah.
Mudman paid for the
Uh-huh.
mic and the
Oh,
headset.
sick, dude.
The first 100. I'm in camp. I do it whenever I get the chance. If I'm in
Yeah.
camp,
Yeah.
the Wi-Fi is not always the greatest.
Right.
Like when I watch this back, your video might be a little bit frozen, right?
Mm-hmm.
We might have a little bit of audio issues, where we're not gonna, it'll sound a little laggy. I'm not professional. The podcast's not professional, right? So like,
Well,
I do
yeah,
it when
and
I can. I'm having a good time with
it's
it, and yeah,
such a good reason to quit, right? Is you're like, oh, this is shitty, like why do I even want to do two more? Like my first 10 were, oh, this is so much. There's so many reasons not to do shit, but it's like there's a history of podcasts that show now if you just
yep,
keep doing it and you're
yep,
authentic, if you're not trying to like even at the beginning of this podcast, I was like, we're talking about babies and kind of like what we were talking about earlier with like going on, rabbit trails. I was like in my head, I'm thinking, we need to talk about like the oil field. And then I was like, dude, get out of your head. You're just having a fucking conversation.
yeah, man.
Have a
Like this,
conversation with a real
yeah,
person and
yeah, man.
talk about what the fuck ever. Because that's the beautiful thing, like what we were talking about earlier with oil and gas. There's there's Pokemon dudes. I mean, I watch Harry
Everything.
Potter way too much.
Oh fuck yeah. Oh fuck yeah. You saw my Harry Potter video I posted the other day about every old hand lives for
Yeah,
this speech on site. It's Dumbledore giving the speech. If I tell you to run, you run. If I
yeah,
tell you to
yeah.
hide, you hide. If I tell you to leave me behind
Dude,
and
yeah,
sacrifice
that's
me
good.
to yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. I'm like,
yeah.
fuck
It's
yeah,
so
man. That's
true.
very Oilfield old hand, but
Oh yeah,
also a
dude.
Harry Potter, man. I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Like
Dude,
I'm the
yeah.
boy who fucking lived.
Anytime you see someone running, it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Why is
Yeah.
that guy running?
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of
Don't
the time, it's
yeah.
like it's a green hand. It's his first day on location. He heard a airline pop or something. But yeah, every once in a while, it's like, okay, that dude's running. That dude's running. I need
Yeah.
to run.
Yeah. Why is everyone running? And do I need to be there too? Right?
Yeah.
It's like, shit, no, I'm just going to stay here and wait for something to blow up. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, now I'm running. Right? Like,
Dude, yeah, yeah. What was your first experience with? I don't think I want to do this anymore.
like on the in the patch?
Like scares. Like have you ever seen something bad enough to where you're like, what the fuck am I doing out here? That I could have just been toast.
No, I've never had a moment where there's that. I had when that shit happens, it's like that's a moment of clarity, right? Like that's hey, we're doing a dangerous thing out here. We got
Yeah.
to be more careful, and that just gives us all more reason to, we all rag on safety. Safety's I love safety,
Yeah.
safety.
Yeah.
We all rag on them, but it's just all in good
Sure.
fun, right?
Sure.
My first what the fuck am I doing out here moment was probably my first winter where it was -58. That's when I was like, you know what? Why the fuck am I here? And
I
then when I
gotcha.
first
Yeah.
started working on a vac truck, -58, covered in invert, like
What is so I've heard you say invert a couple times. What are you referring to when you say invert?
invert is like what they use to drill and shit like that, right? So like, not on surface holes is just regular mud, but like, I don't want to sound like an idiot either. Like someone's gonna
No,
like
well,
hear
I
me
mean,
describe this and call me a fucking idiot,
100%,
but
dude.
but
One of the things I thought about before I jumped on the podcast was like, what business do like I'm gonna say something and somebody's gonna be like that fucking idiot, and then I don't care. Like, yeah, I'm a fucking idiot. There's a lot of shit that
yeah.
neither of us know, But are
So
you referring to like drill mud?
yeah.
Okay.
So like I think invert is like, its greatest. So invert is the only thing that it can hold up to is water, but
Mhm.
also the only thing that can kill invert is water. Right. So
Okay.
it's both its greatest enemy and its best friend. And like they used to make it with so many different chemicals. I think there was like some 50 cancer causing carcinogens in it. They use diesel. They used to use diesel. They don't use diesel in it anymore, which was the biggest one. And you get in there, it gets in your Porsche, get invert burn. I think the
Mhm.
diesel was the cause of that. I was on this one rig and this roughneck comes up to me. He's like, man, I just got invert burn on my dick. I'm like, what the fuck? How did that happen? He's like, I had to take a piss. It was on my hands. It's like,
Uh,
oh, dude, that sucks, bro. Right? Like, I've had invert burn a couple times. Whatever, but I haven't had it in a few years, and I think it's because they took the diesel out of it.
Do you think that guy with the invert burn on his dick? Do you think he was just like creating a psychological story to tell his wife? Like it wasn't
Maybe.
really invert burn. It was just like maybe chlamydia.
Maybe. I didn't. I don't know. Fuck, that could have been shit. I hope not.
He's like, yeah, babe, it's invert burn. The doctor said, totally not an STD.
Yes,
Totally
totally,
not.
totally. Man, you know, a lot of people bring up that thing about the oil patch. Well, you guys are just a bunch of womanizers and you cheat a lot and
Yeah,
you do drugs and
yeah,
alcohol. And it's like, no, man. Most of us out here just want to come, put our time in, work for our family, provide, and go the fuck home. We're gonna have no interest in that shit, right? You get a few bad apples, who
sure.
but for alcoholics and druggies, right? It's like, well, if you're gonna go hang out at the bar all the time, what are you gonna see? You're gonna see people drinking, right? If
Yeah,
you go hang out, with a guy who's likes his, fucking blow or whatever, what are you gonna see? You're gonna see a lot of that, right? Go hang out with the family men. Go see what the family men are doing. You know what? Most of them aren't gonna leave their room. Most of them are going to
yeah,
hang out by themselves, talking to their family whenever they get a chance. Most of them aren't. 99% of them aren't out there doing nefarious things, right? And
yeah.
that's a big thing with the oil field, right?
You're gonna find what you're looking for.
You're gonna find what you're looking for, right? And that's a big stereotype of the oil field, is that we're all
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
womenizing drug addicts and alcoholics.
there's a lot of blue collar guys that work in the oil and gas that yeah they get away from their family for a month, 2 weeks, and they act like a completely different person. There's definitely those dudes out there. There's something out here in the Permian that they call West Texas single, which is basically dudes that come out to West Texas on their hitch and they're single, single.
Yeah,
Because yeah, there's those dudes everywhere, right? I worked with
yeah,
those dudes in restaurants when I was a kid. I worked with those dudes in fucking construction. They're
and do you respect that person?
man. No, it's like
No.
it's a way to be, right? People are messy as fuck, and so it's like, yeah, if you want to drink till 2 a.m. and then get up at 4, like, and feel like shit all day and not perform, like, yeah, that's you do
Yeah.
you. I'm not gonna tell you to do different, but
Yeah, man. Like
I'm
the
I'm
guys that
done
I
done
see
with
out
that
there,
shit.
the way I look at it is I'm doing this for my family. I'm not coming out here to get away from them. Right.
Yeah,
And, if I cheat on my wife, essentially I'm cheating on my kids too. Right.
yeah,
And so like I'm not necessarily like cheating on them, but like it's the same thing. You're cheating them out of your wife finds out you guys split up and you're not together anymore. You're cheating your kids. You're cheating your kids out of a life that they could have had that was,
yeah,
both parents in their life and a happy home, right? So,
yeah,
and I don't want that, man. I don't want to be looked at as the guy. I love my wife for one, too much. For two, I love my family way too much to break that up. And for three, my wife and kids are expensive, bro. You know how much that shit will cost me if I break that up? You know, like
it's cheaper to keep her, right?
cheaper to keep her, bro. And I'm not saying I don't want to keep her either. I love my
No, I know,
wife,
I
bro.
know.
We've
I'm
grown
joking.
we've grown together.
Yeah,
Like when we were teenagers, man, it was all about this, right? Like I just want to get it in, right? And
oh yeah,
like,
dude.
who knew I would have liked the poom poom that much for, here we are 20 years later. But like, like I feel like if anything, I think over the last 4 years, especially since COVID, I think if anything, COVID has brought us closer together. But being away, man, like we started out like this, and we kind of went like this over time. But then if it's broken, you fix it, right?
Yeah,
And
relationships are tough, dude.
oh, dude, we've been together 20 years, and fucking that's my everything, man. I always tell her, if she ever leaves me, this becomes a murder suicide. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
hell yeah,
man.
dude.
Hey man, I don't want to keep you too much longer here. I'm gonna go get some sleep as well. But I
Yeah,
like
you
to
need
end
to
the
hit the
yeah.
sack.
I like to I'm gonna hit the sack before I hit the sack, But like but I like to end the pod the same way every time. And same question, I guess. It's Mount Rushmore has four of the most influential people in North American history, or even world history. Who knows? North American history for sure. if you could have your own Mount Rushmore for people that you look up to, inspire to be, or inspired you, who would they be and why?
Man, that's a toughie. One of them would definitely be Marcus Aurelius.
Oh shit, dude! The Roman Empire guy, the fucking like Marcus Aurelius, man. I've seen the movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe. I know who Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah. So
is,
first off, Gladiator is a sick movie. Not the greatest
all-time.
story.
They're making number 2.
Did they?
They are. Yeah, it's coming.
Oh, that's exciting. But so I got into Stoic philosophy pretty heavy, probably about 10 years ago.
You got into what, sir?
And Stoic philosophy.
Okay.
So it's just it's an operating system. You find a lot of Stoic philosophy in the Bible. You find a lot of Stoic philosophy in Eastern religions, Buddhism, some in like the Muslim religion. But it's Marcus Aurelius had basically a book, which was his journal. It's called Meditations. If you get a chance, just check it out. But author by the name of Ryan Holiday. Are you familiar with him?
I've never heard of him.
He popularized Stoicism again, and has written a lot about Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Aristotle, Epictetus, a lot of these old ancient philosophers. And so he would be up there because the Stoic philosophy in a whole just has really changed my life over the last 10 years of just how I want to operate, what I'm optimizing for. So he'd be one. Jordan Peterson. I know you know that name.
I know who Jordan Peterson is, buddy. Yeah. I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
And and I do have a podcast. I know who Jordan Peterson is.
Hell yeah, dude. You need to have JP on.
I don't think Jordan Peterson wants anything to do with this. He's on a different level. So
I don't know, dude. He talks a lot of good about growing up around hard oilfield working dudes. That's been one of the really cool things listening to JP over the years. He actually came to Midland a while back, and my wife got us tickets. And we went and saw him. But he's done a lot for how I think and how I watch the way I talk. So JP would probably be up there for those reasons. I have to put my dad up there. My dad was, he raised me and was always a big influential cat.
Hell yeah.
So Mark Aurelius, Jay Peterson, my dad, and I'd probably have to put Dick up there, man.
Did you say Dick?
Yeah, man.
You have a big giant dick on your rock or what?
Just my dick. No, you, man.
Oh shit.
Dick Frost, bro.
Oh fuck, man.
No, yeah. You and I would say you embodying all the dudes in the oil and gas industry that I've worked with that have been solid dudes, right? And that's why I would put you up there.
I appreciate that
as a symbol for the not the LTV, but yeah, all the good dudes that I've been able to watch and that have taken the time to teach me, no matter how dumb my questions were or how bad I fucked up, because I think we've all fucked up a fair amount, and there's those guys that have been in our shoes that have been like, yeah, dude, it's okay, it's gonna be all right. So yeah, those would be the 4 that I would put up there.
Oh fuck, dude. Dude, I don't know. I appreciate that, dude. That's huge. To me, I'm just a dumbass with a phone that makes videos and has fun doing it. And so many people get into my inbox and say, "Thanks, man. Thanks for one of the craziest ones." It wasn't in the inbox; it was on site. Buddy comes up to me. I'm on site. He's like, "Hey, you're Dick." I'm like, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" Yeah. He's like, "I just want to shake your hand, man." And I'm like, "Well, okay. I don't know what for, but sure." Shook my hand, and he's like, "Thanks for giving the guys and I something to laugh at when we don't feel like laughing. We're away from home. We're in the cold. We're in the heat. We're miserable. We're covered in shit. We're just missing everything in our life." And he's like, thanks for giving us something to laugh at, and you're one of us." And it's like, man, that's why I started it, dude. I was away from home for 6 months at a time. I was missing everything. I was creating problems in my head that weren't there. I was miserable. And I needed something to laugh at. And so I figured if I can make myself laugh with this, I think I'm the funniest motherfucker to myself, right? Like I watch my videos back and I'm just like, yeah, right. And that's what
You
makes
got to
everyone
be
laughing,
like
right?
that, right? You got to be your best fan.
Yeah, man, I'm my biggest fan, dude, and my wife's my second biggest, and I love that, and my mom's up there, and my daughters, dude, they all think it's hilarious, and like shit like that, man, is I love that. I'm making it for myself, but if fucking other people can like get on board with it at the
Resonate with
same
it, yeah,
time,
yeah,
resonate,
absolutely.
relate, and dude, that's so huge to me, and I had Jeremy Littell on the podcast for episode 50. Big episode. I can't believe we're almost at 70 now. That was 20 weeks ago almost already.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
time's just flying by. And he said, man, he's got like 20 million followers across the internet. And he said, I'm just a guy with a fucking phone being an idiot. It popped off at the right time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And same, dude. Like there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, I have a bigger following than you, or I could have a bigger following. It's good for you, man. I'm having fun. I don't care.
Yeah.
I could not grow anymore, and I'm having a great time. It's not
Yeah.
about the growth for me. It's not about the numbers.
Exactly.
I'm having fun. I'm having fun.
I think when you see people that are doing it for the numbers, it shows. It's like people love the authenticity. Like, which it sounds so cliche by now, but because everybody says it, but it's true. It's like when you see somebody on there and you see it and you go, "This is fucking fake." This is stupid. But so you swipe up or you swipe away or whatever. But when you see somebody that's like real, which I think it's why guys sit there and watch other dudes like build shit, because they know it's real, because it's like, oh, this is so fucking cool. Like I can watch somebody sit there and build something out of wood for, an hour, and it's like the best thing ever. But yeah, I think that's why you gotta just be real, dude.
Have you seen the guy? His name's Murph. His name's is Murph something on TikTok. He's like a carpenter or something in a union in Canada. He makes the fucking most hilarious content, dude. Like I think that guy is fucking funny as fuck,
Yeah.
Like I look at him and I'm like, I like that guy, and he follows me back and he's coming on the podcast. We've talked about it. Like the guy makes he makes me belly chuckle, I'm just like,
yeah,
that guy's fucking hilarious. That guy is funny. And I but no, man, for real, like, I appreciate that, dude. Like that means a lot, it means what I'm doing here is sort of, it has meaning, and that's cool too.
Well, don't let it go to your head, because I didn't have long to think about that question. So
way to pump my tires and then stick a nail in it, right? Like
I gotta keep you humble, dude.
Hey, no, that's fair, man. I like that.
Well, thanks for having me on, dude. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed our conversation. Hopefully,
yeah, man, absolutely.
Hopefully, I'll have some more stories for our next episode.
Oh, dude, we're definitely gonna have an episode. I've never had a repeat person yet, and we're working on that.
You're barely in it, dude. You got a lot of people to talk to.
Barely in it, dude. It's insane how many people there are to talk to. And last 2 weeks ago, I almost didn't make an episode for that week, right? Like I said, I never missed an episode. Well, I was working a lot. I was on nights for 3 weeks, and I'm like coming up here and I'm like, man, I got next week's episode covered, but I don't have the week after that. And it got to like, that episode came out and it got to like the Thursday before the Tuesday. And I'm like, fuck, I have nobody. Everyone's busy, right? Everyone's busy. They want to come on, but they're busy. And then one person popped up, hey, I'm free. Another person popped up, hey, I'm free. And then the train was rolling again, right? I try to keep 3 to 4 weeks ahead of schedule. So like, if I can't do it, I can't do it. But like, I have a couple that I have in the bank that I can't really use, but like if I absolutely need to hit that red button, I'll just throw it out there. But like, yeah, man, we have a lot where there's a lot of people to talk to, a lot of cool people, and I'm constantly discovering new people, right? And that's what the FYP has been so good for. And we're getting Kennedy back on Torque Girl. So much of her life has changed since she was on way back on like, I don't even know what episode she was on, but like it was one where the audio was shit and the video was terrible, and so much of her life has changed. So like we're gonna talk to her again for sure, and other people, and I can't wait, man. I can't. I'm stoked. You never know. I'm an opportunist, so like most episodes are like you and I, we planned this last night. Like, hey, let's do this in the morning. Like a lot of the time, we're like, hey, man, what are you doing in an hour? Hey man, what do you? Hey man, when are you free? I'm free right now. Fuck, so am I. Let's do it, right? And a lot of it's that because of my schedule. I'm on call 24/7. I have no idea when the phone's
No,
gonna ring.
yeah, I get it.
The
Dude.
fact that
and
I've been able to make this work
like
is
when we were gonna do it months ago.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it was. It was like, hey, what are you doing in the morning? And it was like, oh yeah, I'll be free. And then it didn't work out because it's like, that's life, you know. It's
I'm
like
fucking
shit's
bagged,
crazy,
right? Yeah, man. And you know the podcasting game is like a cat and mouse thing, right? I've come to notice there's a lot of chasing, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, hey man, I'm not ignoring you, I'm sorry. And it's like, dude, I'm not offended. If you can't come on right now or you're too busy, I'll circle back around. I don't care, right?
Everybody's got their own life, right?
Everyone's got a life, man. This is like we've been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Not a lot of people can have 2 hours and 15 minutes to spare, right?
That
you know,
by.
it did, man. It did, and like that's what I like about the conversation part of it. I love your content, right? Your content is awesome. You work in the oilfield, you're blue collar, you fit the criteria. People only see a minute-long clips of you. They don't know you. Get them on the podcast for 2 hours, and you know a lot about someone in 2 hours.
Hell yeah, man.
Boom. Right?
Boom.
Yeah, it's fun, man. I love this shit. This is great. I love to talk too, if you haven't noticed. So
no, yeah, me too. That's why I was like kind of nervous, but I was like, dude, that's what I do. I fucking talk to people.
Yeah, fuck yeah. All right, buddy. This has been a good time.
Yeah, dude. Like
I'm going to get some sleep.
I appreciate you having us on. Get some rest, dude, and I'll see you next time, bro.
All right, bud. Thanks for coming on, and hey, you stay frosty.
Yeah, for sure. Later, man.